Chapter 441, Take the Magical Treasure by Yourself. Gold and wish-granting power. Liu Yao's heart stirred when he heard this request. It was not a difficult task for him. That's right. Ying Zheng pointed to the colossal golden statue behind him and said. The ancestral dragon knew it couldn't win easily, so it gathered all the gold in the world to forge the infinitely powerful 12 golden statues, each with combat abilities not inferior to the sun god. Unfortunately, they were damaged in numerous battles, and only the one behind me remains functional. Liu Yao chuckled to himself, thinking of the 100 tons of gold sponsored by the Star Alliance country in his space-time bubble, and said, as for that. But before he could finish, Ying Zheng cut him off. I know gold and wish-granting power are both very precious, not something ordinary people can obtain. But if we don't do this, it's not just the monster in the sky that won't spare us, Su Fu will also be relentless. In the past, I could still bluff them with my residual power, but after this incident, my true weakness has been exposed. I expect an endless stream of tactics to come at us soon. Liu Yao, about that. Ying Zheng continued, gazing at the golden statue. I'm just a wisp of a soul. During the Tang dynasty, I had already been tested when a blood ancestor came across the sea to assail us. Luckily, many hermits were still around, and a heavenly tribulation sage perished with him. Now, in this degenerate age, we must spare no expense to repair the 12 golden statues. Seeing that he was not going to stop talking, Liu Yao simply waved his hand and took out 100 tons of gold from the space-time bubble. These gold bricks, each weighing 400 ounces, 12.5 kilograms, conformed to Star Alliance country standard regulation. Being extremely dense, gold doesn't take up much space, 100 tons of it could fit in a regular-sized truck. You can take treasures from the underground palace to exchange for gold. Ying Zheng was saying this when he turned and caught sight of the countless gold bricks before him. His expression suddenly froze, and he was at a loss for words for quite some time. But the bigger surprise came after, as Liu Yao took out the wish-granting power for 100 million people from the dragon pattern mirror, transforming it into a giant lake suspended above his head. At the same time, he said, will these be enough? I used too much wish-granting power today, so I don't have much left. I'll bring you more another day. Enough, for now it's enough. Ying Zheng regained his senses and channeled the wish-granting power into the golden statue. I underestimated you, the child of destiny truly can't be measured by ordinary standards. However, there are still 6 remaining golden statues that need at least another 100 tons of gold and 3 times the amount of wish-granting power. This was not much for Liu Yao, who nodded without difficulty, easy to handle. You use these first, and I'll bring you the rest soon. The aura of opulence was overwhelming, and Emperor Qin's remnant soul was thoroughly convinced and came to fully trust Liu Yao. His figure fluctuated, and Liu Yao felt he was being scanned by countless electromagnetic waves. Then, Ying Zheng handed over a bronze tiger token and said, I've given you the highest authority for Epang Palace, so you can come and go as you please. There are also treasures left by the ancestral dragon, you take them as well. Liu Yao accepted them gracefully, offering polite thanks. I'm really too embarrassed to accept. No need to be polite, we'll still be counting on you, Ying Zheng sighed, then said. The ancestral dragon's obsession was its own greed for immortality that brought about this apocalypse. That triangular thing could have been destroyed immediately. More than one sorcerer has noticed the oddity. It's a bait and key used by the outer domain sky demon to seek out its prey. Liu Yao said, dwelling on the past is pointless, let's look ahead. You're right, Ying Zheng smiled and said, next, I must focus on repairing the golden statues. I'll tell you the location of the treasures and how to retrieve them, you can just help yourself. Liu Yao stood with a fist in the palm and said, then I'll not stand on ceremony, there are many mouths to feed at home, and we are in need of some fine treasures. Ying Zheng then transferred countless pieces of information into Liu Yao through his divine soul. After everything was settled, Liu Yao did not wish to keep Yu Yanmei waiting, so he took his leave at once. Ying Zheng finally said, I am but a remnant soul, unable to wander far from the golden statues. Go and dismiss the visitors disturbing the peace outside, then block up the hole that woman dug. Liu Yao waved his hand, leave it to me. Yu Yanmei waited outside, repeatedly glancing toward the entrance of the Hall of Supreme Harmony. Fortunately, she didn't have to wait long before she saw Liu Yao emerge, which slightly relieved her. But the next scene took her by surprise, as she saw the Mercury guards outside, one after another, bowing respectfully to Liu Yao. Yu Yanmei approached him and said, "Is the first emperor of Qin really still alive?" "In a way, but he's not in great shape, just a remnant soul. We had a rather pleasant chat, and he even gifted me a few treasures. Let's go and collect them now." Liu Yao explained as such and led the beauty toward various palaces to collect the benefits. Yu Yanmei silently followed behind Liu Yao, noticing that all the mercury guards they passed bowed to him. She marveled to herself, this brat was only inside for a few minutes, and already he is treated with such respect. They moved swiftly one after the other, first arriving at Yushun Palace. Guided by the instructions he had received, Liu Yao manipulated a section of the thick palace wall and opened a secret compartment. This compartment was lined with a thick layer of lead, impossible to find without prior knowledge. Inside, there lay a dagger that looked rather ordinary, as if made from common iron. Yu Yanmei reached out to touch it but grasped at thin air, startling her. It must be a magical treasure. Liu Yao infused it with mind force to make its physical form apparent. This is the famed Su Fu's consort's dagger, used by Jing Kai when he attempted to assassinate Emperor Qin. Extremely sharp, and it carries a deadly poison that seals the throat upon drawing blood. Be careful. With curiosity, Yu Yanmei handled the dagger a bit before they headed to the next location. The previously battled sacrifice altar. Many had fought here ferociously, unaware that a precious treasure was hidden. Liu Yao climbed onto the altar, cut his finger, letting the blood drip slowly, then he shaved off a strand of hair and placed it due east. After a short while, a greenish great seal appeared out of thin air. Liu Yao picked it up and saw inscribed on it, "Given life by heaven, may your longevity flourish." Yu Yanmei's expression turned solemn, "The imperial jade seal." Liu Yao nodded nonchalantly, "A sacrificial instrument of a dynasty, also a magical treasure. Let's move on to the next spot." The last place they arrived at was somewhat awkward, for it was too coincidental. They had ended up in the place for intimate encounters. Orchid Pond Palace. Yu Yanmei's face was stern, and her neck flushed red. Entering there, at that familiar bronze bed, Liu Yao produced the bronze tiger token and opened a secret compartment, revealing a semicircular, white jade pendant. At first glance, it seemed quite ordinary, almost like a trinket from a street stall. But once imbued with mind force, it immediately radiated a soft, gentle light, warm and peaceful, certainly not a mundane object. This was the very Baiheng that Lin Mengsheng of the Golden Lotus sect longed for day and night. Lacking offensive power, it nevertheless had the effect of preserving beauty and longevity, a priceless treasure to some. Liu Yao handed it to Yu Yanmei. "I hurt you before, what if I use this as compensation?" Yu Yanmei snorted coldly and didn't look at him, but the next treasure he took out was something hard to ignore. Chapter 442, Super Bumper Harvest. Seeing that Yu Yanmei ignored him, Liu Yao left the bronze bed and walked slowly to the wall to the east. There was a huge mural called Chart of Ascension, which depicted the first emperor of Qin's visit to Mount Penglai to see the renowned sun god Great Power, Ankishan, of that time. In the mural, the first emperor of Qin, with a sword at his side, was stepping down from a chariot drawn by celestial horses, surrounded by a ceremonial guard that was grand and awe-inspiring. Liu Yao, holding a tiger tally, bowed 3 times to the mural. The tiger tally and the mural simultaneously released identical spiritual fluctuations. The next second, the treasured sword at the first emperor of Qin's waist in the mural suddenly burst into brilliance and flew out on its own. The sword grew against the wind and soon became 1 meter long and as wide as 3 fingers. It was imbued with a strong Qin Han style, the blade covered in cloud patterns, naturally forming the seal script characters for Tai. Yu Yanmei's beautiful face lost its color as she exclaimed in shock, "The divine sword Tai!" The few treasures found before were magically concealed, each more inconspicuous than the last, their brilliance reigned in as though they were mundane objects. But the Tai sword was the complete opposite. As Tai emerges from its sheath, its light outshines even the cold brilliance of Ursa Major. As soon as it appeared, it emitted a radiant cold light, not hesitating to showcase its power. Moreover, its aura was terrifying. Yu Yanmei, after only a couple of glances, felt a stabbing pain in her eyes, and her whole body chilled, as if it had been sliced into several pieces. She dared not look any further and said in astonishment. The divine sword Tai was jointly forged by the 2 great swordsmiths, Master Ouye and Ganzhong. After the sword was made, neither master dared to take credit, saying that the sword's spirit had already existed between heaven and earth, formless and traceless, waiting for the right moment when heaven's timing, geographical advantage, and human harmony converged into one for the sword to take form. This cool beauty's eyes shone brightly, looking somewhat excited. However, her reaction was quite normal for someone who loved swords when they encountered Tai. Liu Yao's eyes flickered, and he had another mischievous idea. To him, no magical treasure was more important than wholly swallowing this Grand Master. He sheathed the Tai sword and presented it with both hands to Yu Yanmei. I offer the divine sword to a beauty and hope you won't mind my previous brashness. Yu Yanmei blinked in surprise. Don't you want it for yourself? Liu Yao laughed. I already have enough magical treasures, so much so that I can't even use them all. Yu Yanmei thought for a moment. The boy had already revealed 3, and having too many magical treasures isn't always a good thing. No swordsman could resist the temptation of Tai. Yu Yanmei showed a captivated expression. Are you really willing to part with it? You don't need to apologize for that incident. Liu Yao heard this and retracted his smile. Now that you mention it, I really do have some reluctance to part with it. Yu Yanmei's expression changed, but Liu Yao quickly continued. How about this, Grandmaster Yu gives me a kiss, and then my heart will be balanced. Yu Yanmei's brows furrowed and she coldly refused. You wish, young rogue. Having said that, she turned her head and walked away without hesitation. Liu Yao quickly stepped in front of her. Don't be hasty, what if you let me kiss you? Hey, don't go, think about it, this is the divine sword Tai. Is there anything more worthwhile in this world? Yu Yanmei was about to punch the flirt in front of her, but she had to admit that what he said made sense, getting the divine sword for just a kiss, and she was not averse to him, making her situation very awkward. Thinking this, Yu Yanmei glared hatefully at Liu Yao, then stood still, her head bowed in a reluctant posture. A grin spread over Liu Yao's face, and he walked over to her. The beautiful woman's face flushed with a rosy glow, a springtime beauty unparalleled. He didn't hesitate, lifted her chin, and planted a kiss. Their lips met, Yu Yanmei let out a soft moan, and her body instantly softened, hanging on to Liu Yao. She was at the peak of craving, and their previous encounter had hardly quenched her thirst. Moreover, she found Liu Yao completely agreeable, which made her feel very vulnerable at the moment. The once icy beauty now seemed infinitely shy, a different kind of allure that was extremely tempting. Liu Yao lifted her horizontally and headed towards the large bronze bed. Yu Yanmei weakly struggled. You rogue, what are you doing? I still have remnants of the joyful willpower's poison in me, Grandmaster Yu could help me dispel it. No. Let go. Yu Yanmei was still feeble, without any strength in her body, and it appeared she was about to let Liu Yao dispel the poison. As they grappled, the two suddenly froze. They heard the roaring noise of a tank engine. The two of them immediately realized the 3 girls had returned. Yu Yanmei instantly felt her cultivation was back and pushed Liu Yao off her forcefully, quickly tidying up her appearance. Liu Yao also hurried to pick up a shoe to help her put it on. As Yu Yanmei put on her shoes, she whispered a threat. This matter must be kept strictly confidential and must not be leaked. If you dare to bully me again in the future, I'll put 10 transparent holes in you. Liu Yao nodded repeatedly in agreement on the surface. The two walked out of the palace composedly. Liu Yao couldn't help but marvel that women are truly born actresses, as Yu Yanmei looked just the same, without a single flaw. Soon, Li Pei and the other 2 arrived in a tank. From a distance, seeing Liu Yao and his companion, the 3 girls dashed over from the tank, chirping joyfully. My lord, you've won. We saw the pink strangeness dissipate and hurried over to check. Your traces of battle have been smoothed over, this underground palace is self-maintaining. Liu Yao smiled and said, we've won, the enemy has been wiped out. Now there are some spoils of war that need to be collected, and it's perfect that you're here to join us. At these words, the 3 girls immediately showed delight, their smiles blossoming like flowers. After that, Liu Yao looked at Zhang Yunchu and his disciple inside the tank. He could break the Empress Dowager's seal, but it would take some time and energy, so he decided to wait until they left the place to do so. The priority was to pick up all the treasures and drive away the 3 great grandmasters who were surrounding and attacking from outside. Following that, the family, guided by the information transmitted by Ying Zheng, headed to various palaces to reap the benefits. First, they arrived at a palace which was only slightly smaller than Orchid Pond Palace, known as Wanji Palace. Liu Yao obtained a statue of the Jade Xian bird. This was a magical treasure from the Shang dynasty, having survived thousands of years, possessing many mysterious and powerful abilities. At the same time, they also encountered a damaged golden statue. It only had the part above its chest left, collapsed on the ground. The damage was quite severe, even missing a chunk of its head. Ying Zheng would prioritize repairing those golden statues with lighter damage. This one would probably require almost as much effort to repair as creating a new one, which is why it was left here to fend for itself. After a moment's thought, Liu Yao decided to take the golden statue into his space-time bubble to study it himself. The group moved non-stop, entering and exiting palace after palace. All of these palaces held benefits, but what excited them the most was Ice Jade. They had only seen ice jade rings and bracelets before, and now they finally saw a bed made entirely of ice jade. An ice jade bed! Liao Qi screamed excitedly, rushing over to lie on the 2-meter-long bed. But even with her innate realm cultivation, she was still shaking with cold, her teeth chattering as she trembled and couldn't last even a second. Yu Yanmei also tried it and found it somewhat intolerable, exclaiming in amazement, one would have to be in the golden body realm to be able to lie down and sleep on it. Li Pei laughed and said, "No worries, there are smaller items here." In the palace, there were other living items made of ice jade, such as teacups and wine pots. Everyone picked a set, overjoyed beyond measure. Although there were many more palaces they hadn't visited, Liu Yao and his family decided to call it a day. Although the owner had said they could take as they pleased, guests shouldn't clear out the host's possessions entirely, that would be too rude. We'll save some for next time. Moreover, Liu Yao always felt that this underground palace must hold more benefits than just these. Chapter 443, Conflict erupts. Liu Yao and his family returned home with a full load, in high spirits. 3 great grandmasters outside the city weren't quite so lucky. After spending several hours, they still had not breached the Mercury Guard's defense, blocked at the doorway unable to enter. Their spirit-refining practitioners, none of which recognized the formation, let alone understood how to break it, could only say helplessly. This is a grand formation laid down with the help of the Earth's magnetic field, it would take a very long time to exhaust it with manpower. The 3 great grandmasters shook their heads in succession. Officialdom rarely had any powerful spirit refiners, as those in power were always wary of those who could gather the power of belief. Those at the fetal breath realm were already the most core personnel. We must have spirit refiners. At this moment, all 3 were considering having their trusted subordinates, or even themselves, strengthen their spirit refining stage. However, these were matters for the future, the immediate problem was pressing. Grandmaster Zheng was the most anxious, pacing back and forth on the spot, growing increasingly agitated. Zhang Wenda said leisurely from the side. "Grandmaster Zheng, please stay calm. From the sounds of it earlier, they fought fiercely, wouldn't it be better for us to reap the benefits of their fight?" Yuan Kaisheng nodded in agreement, not seeming too anxious. He was sitting on a taishi chair, with 2 young girls helping him massage. Zheng Bohan said indifferently, "You two, you've already found solid backing, haven't you? Zhang Wenda, you have Einheit's support, and I hear even their entire cabinet has huge investments with you." Then, Zheng Bohan turned to Yuan Kaisheng, glancing meaningfully at the katana at his waist, and said, "As for you, it seems you've hooked up with Izumos Emperor. Hence, the 2 of you aren't in a hurry, but if there's even a slight mistake on my part, my life and fortune would be at risk." Yuan Kaisheng replied, "Grandmaster Zheng is very close to Jihad. The country just signed the surrender declaration. But you needn't be anxious, Jihad wasn't completely incapacitated, the so-called surrender declaration is merely a ceasefire agreement." Zhang Wenda suddenly laughed out loud, would Grandmaster Zheng put all his eggs in one basket? He has already been in contact with the Vice President of the Minis Federation. Rumor has it that you are conceding monetary sovereignty, that's a bold move. Zheng Bohan cast a cold glance at his old rival but appeared calm in demeanor. All the regional governors were colluding with the great powers. Whether they planned to establish their rule or welcome the new dynasty, they had to be fully prepared for any eventuality. Their conversation was interrupted by new movements in the Epang Palace. As the palace gates flung open, under the gaze of countless eyes, Liu Yao and his entourage walked out, full of vigor and vitality. When the Mercury General Meng Yi, guarding the palace walls, saw them, he not only did not stop them but rather saluted them with a fisted bow. Witnessing this scene, a tumultuous uproar erupted. The 3 great grandmasters' expressions changed dramatically. "Damn it, even the palace guards are saluting him. This Lu fellow must have taken all the treasures from the underground palace. It seems the joyful Bodhisattva and Lin Mengsheng have little chance of surviving. Amidst the commotion, Zheng Bohan shouted, "Lu Yao, where is the Empress Dowager?" Zhang Wenda also asked, "And His Majesty?" Lu Yao said indifferently, "They're all dead. Emperor Yong'an was swallowed by the Empress Dowager's heavenly demon form, and then I took care of the rest." He spoke casually, but those present were shocked into silence for a long while, unable to speak. 3 golden body level powerhouses, all died by your hand. That's impossible, Lu must have used some treacherous scheme. Exactly. With the combat power of golden body fighters, even if they couldn't win, they could at least escape. Lu Yao's words were too incredible to believe, and many people had their doubts, couldn't help but voice their skepticism. Lu Yao said with a smile, "That's the situation. The Mausoleum Underground Palace will be my place from now on, so if you have no business here, please disperse." As these words came out, there was an uproar among the crowd. "Let us go? How can you be so domineering, leaving no room for others to live? This surnamed Lu is so arrogant, what do you think, is he just bluffing?" At this moment, the most active was none other than the brother of Great Grandmaster Zheng. Zheng Boquan. Even if this man has truly killed 3 of the golden body level, he himself must have been injured, he's surely at the end of his strength. Then, he pointed at the female companions of Lu Yao and said, "Look at them, their bodies are all adorned with ice jade." Upon closer inspection, the beauties all wore ice jade rings on their fingers, and ice jade bracelets around their wrists. The crowd couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air, and then greed flared up. Ice jade was an aid for cultivation, especially useful for those in the spirit refining stage, a sacred item not purchasable with money. Who knows what they would think if they knew that Lu Yao had also obtained several magical treasures. Aside from the greedy, the remnants of the Golden Lotus sect glared at Lu Yao and his family, filled with intense hatred. They had secret methods to confirm the death of their sect leader, and with no golden body level members left, it was as if the main beam of the house had broken, and the collapse was imminent. How could they not hate? In an instant, the crowd was stirred up with indignation, and even many who held no particular grudges were gnashing their teeth. Bear in mind, this was Emperor Qin's underground palace, where even a randomly pried ground tile taken back would be something to boast about for a lifetime. And this surnamed Lu thinks he can clear the area with just a few words. He shouldn't think too highly of himself. At this moment, blinded by hate and greed, countless people had lost their vision. Facing gazes of various expressions, Lu Yao's smile faded, and a shadowy figure appeared behind him. "It seems that you prefer to drink a penalty rather than a toast." Nearly 20,000 people heard these words and simultaneously stepped back 3 paces, looking towards the 3 great grandmasters. They weren't stupid, of course. Such matters naturally needed someone to take the lead. The 3 great grandmasters exchanged glances, clearly not planning to just walk away. Zheng Bohan said with a cold face, "Surnamed Lu. With so many people here, by what right do you claim to monopolize the underground palace with just one word? Moreover, you've been conferred by the imperial court, and are even the husband of Princess Yongping. Killing the emperor and the empress amounts to disloyalty, unfilial behavior, and immorality." Lu Yao turned his head and looked their way, saying, "Grandmaster Zheng, then let me ask you, when the coalition forces of the great powers invaded, where did you flee to after enjoying the nation's grace for so many years? And what of Zhang Wenda and Yuan Kaisheng, where were you too? If you had even resisted a little, the citizens of Jinmen would certainly have had time to evacuate, rather than being completely decimated." Upon hearing this, Yuan Kaisheng, who was best at quibbling, attempted to argue, "We were preserving strength for future prospects, to retain the seed of civilization. No need for meaningless chatter with him." Zheng Bohan, eyeing the ice jade worn by Lu Yao's family, could hardly wait any longer. In this day and age, reputation served no purpose, only personal strength was fundamental, and there was simply no need for explanations. His palms immediately started to blur, a sign that he was mustering the force for Supreme Tei Thunderclap hand. Suddenly, the crowd witnessed the 12-meter-tall heart demon manifesting behind Lu Yao. The 3 great grandmasters felt a surge of joy, thinking such a size was not very difficult to deal with. But the next second, their smiles froze on their faces. Out of nowhere, a majestic golden dragon coiled around the arm of the heart demon, turning into a golden dragon-shaped flame dancing in the air. In an instant, the 3-headed and 6-armed heart demon grew to 100 meters tall, soaring to the heavens, standing tall as if it were a deity or demon. Ordinary people were only the size of one of its fingers, and martial artists below the blood exchange realm who dared to look it in the eyes would collapse on the spot in terror. All three faces of the heart demon locked onto Zheng Bohan, and its voice boomed like thunder. What was it that you said about me just now? Chapter 444, Public Execution. The majestic figure with 3 heads and 6 arms towered between heaven and earth, its arms entwined with dancing golden dragon flames. Even those who had never seen a heart's image knew the immense dangers it contained. The tens of thousands who had been in a state of passionate uproar suddenly turned pale and started retreating in terror, pushing and shoving each other into chaos. The situation took a drastic turn for the worse, but the arrow was already on the bow and had to be shot. Gazing at the enemy who looked like a god or demon, Zheng Bohan showed no fear and took the initiative to strike. I don't believe you can come out of this unscathed. His palms suddenly clapped together, and amid a thunderous explosion, a white sonic explosion wave burst forth and flew to his face in the blink of an eye. This was precisely Kunlun's peerless technique, Supreme Tai Thunderclap Hand. Seeing this, Liu Yao's curiosity was piqued. Shockwave. It was known that the martial path of the other world still respected scientific principles and physics. Strength couldn't come from nothing, and this was the first time he had seen a long-range attack technique similar to wave emission. With a thunderous boom, Liu Yao, with great interest, raised his hand to take the strike directly, and a small pit was blasted into the palm of his hand. It's a sonic explosion wave. Its power is about the same as a 128 mm cannon, an attack method that uses the principle of sound waves. While Liu Yao analyzed, Zheng Bohan, already carrying a fierce momentum, arrived in an instant. Clapping his hands, he unleashed a 200 decibel sonic explosion wave, like a thunderbolt appearing out of nowhere, transforming into a terrifying tidal wave that blasted towards Liu Yao's chest. The commotion was similar to that of a rocket launch, leaving countless people dizzy and ringing in their ears. Facing the attack, Liu Yao chuckled, feeling that the man's movements were too slow, far inferior to the Empress Dowager's. Then, his massive figure moved. Amidst the deafening explosion, a huge sonic explosion wave was dispersed. His colossal body broke the sound barrier, moving so fast that it became a black shadow, and in a blink, he was in front of the enemy, landing a savage hook punch. This punch, though thrown later, struck faster, first breaking through Zheng Bohan's thunderclap hand and then hitting him directly. Accompanying the blast of a white air wave, Zheng Bohan was like a baseball hit by a bat, his whole body twisted into a strange shape as he was sent flying with a loud crash. But it wasn't over yet. With a powerful stomp, Liu Yao once again broke the sound barrier. In an instant, he caught up to his enemy still in mid-air, wound up his fist, and fiercely hammered it down from above. Zheng Bohan, with no leverage in mid-air, had no chance to resist. After taking another hit, he was sent flying even faster, whistling through the air. And the direction he was sent flying was precisely where his clan brother Zheng Boquan was located. This area was filled with the Zheng family's private army, formerly incited by Zheng Boquan's lead to be quite rowdy. Liu Yao clearly intended to send his opponent in that direction. Zheng Bohan, turned into a human cannonball, knocked over his brother Boquan on the spot, continued to fly. I don't know how many men were wasted, and even toppled a cannon, finally crashing into the ground and creating a radial meteorite crater. The scene instantly became a mess, with cries of agony, as those lucky enough not to be dead panicked and scattered. This fight, as swift as the wind, altogether lasted only 2 seconds. Liu Yao's massive body moving at such high speed generated gale force winds of level 10 intensity. The arena was filled with dust and stones. Many who had not yet reacted were almost blown away. Countless people widened their eyes in shock, but before they could respond, the ground at the crater stirred, and Zheng Bohan climbed out. He was not dead, but his body was covered in fine cracks like shattered porcelain, clearly outmatched. At this moment, Zheng Bohan looked towards his 2 teammates for help. But Zhang Wenda and Yuan Kaisung immediately stopped in their tracks, not advancing any further. Zhang Wenda even hurriedly ordered his subordinates, contact Lord Zhou immediately. Quickly. Liu Yao stared at the disheveled Zheng Bohan and shook his head, mocking, is this the so-called Grandmaster Zheng? The enemy before him was far inferior both physically and in reaction time compared to the Empress Dowager. Even within the same realm, there were vast disparities in strength. All right, you may now die. Immediately afterward, under the watchful eyes of all, Liu Yao's massive figure leaped forward, his 6 fists larger than a dumper truck's wheels, carrying a terrifying force, howling down from the sky and thunderously smashing down. In an instant, the earth shook and the sky filled with dust and gravel, while a deafening roar merged into one. When the dust settled, a small reservoir-like irregular crater appeared at the center of the arena. Grandmaster Zheng, who had dominated the lands for dozens of years, had thus fallen, his body and that of his clan brother reduced to indistinct dust, dead without a complete corpse. For a moment, there was complete silence in the arena. Those who had been blinded by greed and hatred were as if doused with a bucket of ice water, instantly sobering up. To execute a golden body grandmaster in public. Were we out of our minds just now, to openly challenge such a figure? Following this, Liu Yao's gaze fixed on Zhang Wenda and Yuan Kai's hung. Let's be direct, I have an equal aversion to the both of you. Might as well take care of you today as well. Zhang Wenda forced a smile and said, Lord Liu, we have no deep hatred, why go to such lengths? Besides, we didn't make a move just now. Yuan Kaisheng, feeling the murderous intent from Liu Yao, spoke up, that's very true, Lord Liu. If you're interested in this underground palace, we will step back. He secretly clenched the hilt of his katana. This was the renowned divine weapon of Izumo, Futsunamitama, which could enable a person without spirit refining stage capabilities to exert the power of the divine manifestation of the holy realm. His strongest trump card. At that moment, Liu Yao had already taken the starting stance of the Tathagata palm. And just then, he suddenly felt a movement from the mind resonance item he had left with Lord Zhou. Immediately answering, Liu Yao asked, Lord Zhou, what's the matter? Lord Zhou's voice immediately came through, Liu Yao, spare their lives. Upon hearing these words, Zhang Wenda, who had earlier sent someone to contact Lord Zhou, could not help but heave a sigh of relief. Lord Zhou continued, I'm aware of the situation. The death toll of golden bodies today has been enough. If another Grandmaster falls, the world may become unstable. They still have their uses. I remember a saying of yours that makes a lot of sense. Even poor order is better than no order at all. The other world was in the midst of chaos, but precisely because it was suppressed by powerful beings, complete mayhem had not yet ensued, allowing ordinary people at the bottom to barely scrape by. If the upper ranks were to suddenly collapse, it would trigger a chain reaction, inevitably leading to chaos. It was better to let them live a little longer. Liu Yao took a moment to ponder and made his decision. Considering that neither of you made a move just now, I'll let it go this time. But it's only temporary, I hope you won't do anything to make me unhappy. Zhang Wenda, with a refined and warm smile, said, thank you, we will leave right away. After speaking, the two Grandmasters quickly led their troops to flee without looking back. At this moment, even the most greedy of individuals dared not mention anything about Emperor Qin's palace, only cursing themselves for not running fast enough. Before long, the place was completely deserted. Liu Yao eyed Yuan Kaisheng with a curled lip, revealing a cold smile. Then he said to the several ladies, let's go up too, and close the passage that the Empress Dowager opened. At this time, several beauties looked over with faces full of admiration. To kill a golden body realm master renowned for years for his fierce reputation in public had equally left them deeply shaken. Even Yu Yanmei's eyes were filled with wonder. Chapter 445, It's not bad either. Xiang Lake. Zhou He was anxiously waiting with a group of Wudang disciples. From time to time, he glanced up at the sun in the sky, which had not shown any abnormalities yet, but he dared not to look directly at it for long. The monster possessed an ocean-like mind force, and it must have extremely formidable spirit refinement powers, gazing upon it would certainly bring about terrifying consequences. Just then, countless people and horses suddenly poured out from the light gate by the lakeside. This group, akin to homeless dogs, fled in a disordered fashion, tails between their legs. Among them were the two great grandmasters, Zhang Wenda and Yuan Kaisheng. It's the great grandmasters and their private armies. How did they come out? They seem a bit disheveled. Zhou He said with a grave expression, there must be a significant turn of events below, I wonder how little friend Liu is faring. At that moment, several Wudang disciples had already stopped some of the people who had run out from the Jianghu to gather information. But before they could get any answers, Liu Yao and his family appeared from the light gate as well. They also brought with them their elder martial brother and his personal disciples. Zhou He and the others hurried over excitedly, taking over the rigid, wooden-like figures of Zhang Yunzhu and his disciples. Liu Yao said with a smile, Dea ist Zhou, mission accomplished without dishonor. Afterward, Everyone took their turns and busied themselves, and after much effort, they finally released the teacher and disciple from their restraints. It was as if the two had awoken from a nightmare, curling up and gasping for breath. Zhang Yunxia coughed a few times and said incoherently, "The demonic woman deserves death." Bai Lu, are you all right? Bai Lu, originally a pure and clean female deist, now had disheveled hair and was a mess of tears and snot, looking utterly dejected. A beautiful maiden, the Empress Dowager of course had drawn a sword on her, and although she hadn't managed to do much, Bai Lu was genuinely terrified. Seeing them in this state, Zhou He couldn't help but reprimand his elder brother. "I had warned you before to keep away from the heavenly demon Empress Dowager. Alas, it's no use talking about it now." Thankfully, with little friend Lu's help, it turned out to be a close call with no harm done. Zhang Yunxia said with a sense of shame, "The Empress Dowager brought out the grand formation of heavenly attraction, an ancient formation, and seeing it, I was tempted by curiosity." "Right." Zhang Yunxia suddenly remembered something and added, "There's a mastermind behind the Empress Dowager. The formation was tampered with, and even I was deceived. The depth of their cultivation is inscrutable. We must exercise extreme caution with this person." Liu Yao already knew who the person behind the Empress Dowager was, but he simply asked, "Sect leader Zhang, to break this formation, do we need to level the surrounding mountaintops?" Zhang Yunxia stood up, bowed, and replied, "There's no need for such trouble, just let me dismantle a few nodes." The Wudang sect leader was very respectful. He had almost witnessed all of Liu Yao's abilities and knew full well the extraordinary capabilities of the person before him. He was quietly grateful that his sect had befriended such an individual. And Lord Liu was particularly generous to his own people. Zhang Yunxia casually glanced at Liu Yao's younger sisters. He knew that these women not only had ice jade but also each possessed a magical treasure. Thinking of this, Zhang Yunxia felt a surge of sorrow. Despite his age and having been out of his body for many years, he still hadn't obtained a single magical treasure. Yet several beautiful maidens, merely by finding a good man, possessed magical treasures even with such low levels of cultivation. Especially that Yu Yanmei, who was actually carrying the divine sword Tai. Even ordinary practitioners of the golden body realm might not be her match. After that, Zhang Yunxia, despite still feeling very stiff, personally took charge and commanded the Wudang disciples to dismantle the pavilions, terraces, towers, and rock gardens, along with artificial mountains within the summer palace. The light gate by the lakeside gradually ceased to function, and then faded away like dissipating smoke and clouds. Liu Yao was very satisfied with the efficiency of the Wudang sect and nodded repeatedly, "Very good, with that, both matters are settled." Zhang Yunxia trotted over and said, "Lord Liu, did I hear from a junior that you wish to visit Mount Wudang?" "Indeed, I need to consult some archived materials. Would that be inconvenient?" "If Lord Liu wishes to see them, then of course there is no problem. The entire Wudang sect is at your service anytime." Liu Yao wanted to consult materials related to the Thunder Tribulation realm. This time, having saved their lives, his request was certainly not unwarranted. The matters at the mausoleum of the first emperor had come to a temporary close. Next, it was time to head to Mount Wudang. The members of the Wudang sect left first, using their movement techniques to quickly return to the mountain gate to prepare for the reception. Liu Yao and his family took a short rest, also taking the opportunity to report the details of the event to Left Minister. After listening to Liu Yao's account, Left Minister pondered for a moment and then said, "Both the Emperor and the Empress have fallen, it is both destiny and the will of the times. Yet a day without the sun, a state without a ruler, a group of dragons without a head, is not a long-term solution. Liu Yao, when you return to the capital, we shall discuss thoroughly the matter of restoring the mountains and rivers." Liu Yao looked deeply at the calm and composed Left Minister, nodded, and then disconnected the communication. The girls who overheard this conversation became unsettled. Liao Qi excitedly said, "Does Left Minister mean that he wants Liu Yao to ascend the throne and become emperor?" Liao Ya added, "With junior brother's peerless strength and his reputation growing by the day, it would indeed be the natural course of things." Li Pei felt somewhat disheartened. It seemed that Left Minister had decided to give up on the Li dynasty without any hesitation. Even if it was for the sake of the people of the world, it was still quite a blow to one's pride. But she soon ran out of energy to worry about that. She saw 3 spiritual sparrowhawks landing, preparing for the journey, fighting again over who would carry Liu Yao. Claws capable of tearing through steel clashed, sparking as they struck each other. Spiritual sparrowhawks, naturally lively and energetic, were used to such scenes almost every day. Li Pei was about to stop them when suddenly her master, not wanting to see the sparrowhawks get hurt, stepped forward to separate them. Li Pei was surprised. Spiritual sparrowhawks were incredibly prideful and did not take Yu Yanmei seriously at all. But now they obediently listened, no longer fighting, and even didn't mind being stroked. It was very much against their nature. Yu Yanmei was surprised too, but quickly realized why. Surely it was because she bore Liu Yao's scent. Remembering this, Yu Yanmei looked somewhat guiltily towards Li Pei and met her eyes. Fortunately, women are naturally gifted actors, and Yu Yanmei maintained her composure without giving anything away. Li Pei stroked her smooth chin, guessing, it seems that after spending more time with you, they've come to accept the master. Yu Yanmei nodded lightly, acknowledging the idea. But, internally, she was furiously blaming Liu Yao, causing her for the first time in her life to play the actor. And to experience such embarrassing awkwardness. Next, the family took off for Mount Wudang on the backs of the spiritual sparrowhawks. This time, Yu Yanmei did not need to hitch a ride, but could control a spiritual sparrowhawk herself. Sitting on the somewhat reluctant penguin, she was the first to soar into the sky. Riding a sparrowhawk, the thrill of piloting one's own ride as opposed to being a passenger, was incomparable. The usually reserved Grandmaster Yu faced the oncoming wind as the sparrowhawk executed thrilling maneuvers, and, unusually, she couldn't help but let out shouts of joy, clearly enjoying herself immensely. The Liao family sisters suspected nothing. Liao Qi even nestled in Liu Yao's embrace and laughed, saying, "Before, you could only have disciples carry you, but now Grandmaster Yu finally gets her wish." At that moment, Yu Yanmei was reveling in the joy of rapid flight, suddenly feeling that losing her virginity to Liu Yao might not be so bad after all. Chapter 446, Paying Homage to Wudang Mountain. Mount Wudang is proclaimed an unparalleled scenic realm since ancient times, the foremost immortal mountain in the world, embodying quietude, strangeness, elegance, and beauty all at once, with different scenery for each of the 4 seasons. And it is here that the Wudang sect is situated. Zhang Yunchu and Zhou He, leading a group of disciples, rushed back like lightning and thunder, neglecting to even speak to the gatekeeper, and immediately struck the ancient bell atop the mountain. This was the urgent summons for assembly of the sect members in times of great need. Its deep and resonant toll, driven by the power of mind force, echoed through the valleys and reached the towns at the base of the mountain. External, internal, and true transmission disciples, all disciples of Wudang heard the clear call to assembly and hurried back to the sect entrance. Soon, nearly 1,000 disciples gathered in the plaza before the Yuxu Palace. Although filled with confusion, they did not make a commotion, practicing the eyes on the nose on the heart meditation, patiently ready to listen to the sect leader's address. Zhang Yunchu also did not let the crowd wait long, and he announced in a clear voice. "Lord Liu will soon visit Wudang, all disciples heed my command, open the gates wide and prepare to welcome the esteemed guest." Upon hearing this, joy appeared on everyone's face, and a buzz filled the air. "I've long heard that Lord Liu is on good terms with our sect. It turns out he is really coming for a visit. Our Wudang's commerce has gained a solid foothold in Yunzhou, acquiring significant benefits in Jingzhen, all thanks to Lord Liu's influence." Then, an elderly man dressed in a suit, who was clearly of senior status, spoke up. "It's more than that. The latest news I got is that this very Lord Liu killed 3 golden bodies in the Qinling underground palace and even manifested his divine prowess to slay Grandmaster Zheng in front of everyone. The heavens, they are changing." Upon hearing this, everyone around was stunned. They were young men who cultivated diligently within the sect, isolated from news and unaware of the events that had taken place inside the Qinling mausoleum. After a while, someone said, "Uncle Hua, is this true? Even with spirit refining manifest holiness, this level of combat power is unheard of." The old man in the suit was responsible for the sect's external affairs and was well informed. He confirmed with confidence. "It can't be false. We received a telegram from the sect leader before we came, and I just confirmed it with a few true transmission disciples who followed Grandmaster Zhou." The news spread quickly, and the noise within the crowd grew wave after wave. Ever since the beginning of this dynasty, the Wudang sect had gradually waned, showing signs of decline. Having good relations with such a powerful figure is assuredly a great fortune, perhaps it could herald the sect's resurgence to its former glory. Zhang Yunchu raised his hand to quiet the clamor and shouted. Lord Lu will arrive in a few hours, hurry and prepare, do not bring shame upon Wu Dang. The crowd ceased their noise, bowed respectfully, and orderly dispersed, eagerly attending to their respective duties. The following preparations were like welcoming a high-ranking leader for inspection. The lower-ranked disciples did a thorough cleaning, while Zhang Yunchu and others arranged a grand reception plan, intent on leaving a favorable impression on Lord Lu. Martial artists work swiftly, and in no time, the entire Wudang sect looked revived and renewed. Just then, 3 black dots appeared in the sky. It was Liu Yao and his family. According to the ritual of paying homage to a sacred mountain, they landed at Xianyu Gate. This was a 15-meter tall and wide archway, with the central tablet bearing the 4-character inscription Xuanyu Seal of Peace, written personally by Emperor Jiajing in a vigorous and robust brushstroke. Zhang Yunchu, Zhou He, alongside the 7 disciples of Wudang, the elders and others had already been waiting here for some time. At this moment, this group dressed in glutinous rice-colored Taoist robes, exuding an air of immortal sageliness and elegance, simultaneously bowed deeply and greeted. Members of Wudang, welcome Lord Lu. Liu Yao greeted them with a composed fist and palm salute, a great pleasure to meet you. The ladies behind him also saluted with a fist and palm with graceful ease. Many disciples of Wudang seeing Liu Yao for the first time were utterly astounded to encounter a whole family on the innate realm level. A household of grandmasters. Truly magnificent. Envious indeed are those who witness this immortal family. Facing a host of respectful gazes, Zhang Yunchu introduced several of the sect's elders. After the pleasantries, he led Liu Yao's family on an inspection tour of the Wudang sect, acting much like a tour guide. The tour began with Yuxu Palace, followed by Taihe Palace, Jingle Palace, and Zitan Palace. No major building was missed. The entire architectural complex stretched for 140 li, grand in scale yet still capturing the essence of a fairyland pavilion. At each location, the stationed disciples of Wudang would bow respectfully and offer greetings. Liu Yao waved amiably, assuming the demeanor of a leader on an official inspection. Zhang Yunchu's humble attitude was in part because he and his disciple were saved by Liu Yao. An important factor. After making the rounds, they arrived at their final destination. The Concealed Immortals Palace. This place housed the Wudang sect's cultivation secrets, and deep inside was the sect's treasure vault. By the time they reached this point, most people had dispersed, leaving only Zhou He, Zhang Yunchu, and his disciple Bai Lu. Upon entering the palace, they saw an elder poring over texts at a desk. His hair and beard were pure white, yet his cheeks were as ruddy and smooth as a baby's. Under his thin frame surged robust true qi, clearly indicating the level of a master without leaks. Zhang Yunchu and Zhou He hurriedly bowed, Uncle Bai. Bai Lu looked up with adoration and called out crisply, Great-grandpa. The elder simply nodded at them, then continued reading, showing little reaction. Zhang Yunchu explained, this is Uncle Bai, who guards the Concealed Immortals Palace. He's not fond of socializing, please excuse any perceived rudeness. Liu Yao smiled generously, not to worry. Continuing forward, they saw shelves filled with books much like a library, as well as many bronze and jade figures inscribed with energy circulation routes and acupoints. These were the secret techniques of Wudang, which Zhang Yunchu openly allowed Liu Yao and his family to see without feeling it was inappropriate. In his view, if Lord Lu could casually offer a few pointers, it would be extremely beneficial. However, Liu Yao's attention was drawn to one particularly large bookshelf. The entire shelf was filled with foreign works, including cellular and molecular biology, brain and consciousness, research on individual neurons of the brain, and more. Noticing this, Zhang Yunchu said, the foreigners study the human body from a microscopic perspective, which can inspire our cultivation practices. There's a scholar named Compton who believes our martial artists' true qi and inner breath are something called cell will, which is quite interesting. Liu Yao nodded and casually flipped through a few books. Some open-minded martial artists were already looking out into the world, absorbing all sorts of knowledge like sea accepting all rivers. Yet Zhou He sighed, these Western scholars of the human race have all been granted initial holdings and turned into demon beasts with much longer lives. Their research will immediately be applied to military use. There are rumors that Einheit has already mastered a method to mass-produce knights. Zhang Yunchu interrupted his younger brother, with Lord Lu presiding over us, divine land will soon ascend to the ranks of great powers, there's nothing to fear. Let's not talk about such displeasing matters, on to the sect's secret vault. With that said, they proceeded to the end of the Concealed Immortals Palace. What met their eyes was a stone chamber hollowed out from the belly of the mountain, with no further paths ahead, only the solid rock face. The air carried a sharp sensation, as if countless blades were pressed against the body. Liu Yao looked up and saw many yin and yang and 8 trigram patterns on the ceiling of the chamber. Zhang Yunchu explained, "This place is guarded by the true martial 7-cut array, it requires the fresh blood of the 3 of us to open." While speaking, his disciple Bai Lu, and Daoist Zhou he stepped forward, cut their fingers to let their crystal-clear blood like mercury drip onto the stone slab, then bowed sincerely. The next second, amidst intense rumbling sounds, the stone at the end of the chamber slowly parted, revealing a passageway. Zhang Yunchu raised his hand in invitation, "Lord Lu, please." Chapter 447, Confirm the Guess. Everyone arrived at the secret library together. The first thing that caught their eyes was the Aswanyu seal of peace floating in the void, absorbing the power of wishes. This was just a magic artifact that needed to be charged from time to time, and its potent abilities and mystical aspects were far less impressive than those of a magical treasure. Furthermore, judging by the scale of the power of wishes, it was approximately just a few 100,000 people's worth, which was hardly worth mentioning. The library also housed many books, as well as jade objects and stone steels engraved with text, all emitting fluctuations of the mind and spirit. Zhang Yunchu stroked his beard and smiled, "The core secrets of the Wudang sect's spirit refining cultivation are all here, Lord Lu is free to browse as he wishes." Sect leader Zhang has taken great pains, "I won't be polite then." Liu Yao immediately began to look through them. Since the northern and southern dynasties, Mount Wudang had been a place where many hermits secretly cultivated, and the Wudang sect was originally just a loose affiliation of friends and followers of these recluses. Therefore, the mystic cultivation manuals stored here were of various types, carefully categorized and organized according to year and affiliation. This was the first time Liu Yao had access to the complete spirit refining legacy encompassing the entire history of the sect. As he read, he saw it as a history of the decline of an extraordinary world. During the Sui and Tang dynasties, there were still works left about astral projection and divine manifestation. Afterward, the quality dropped off, with the current era mostly discussing matters related to maintaining calm and stability. Liu Yao was filled with emotion as he read but felt vindicated as his suspicions were confirmed. At this moment, he was perusing a set of handwritten notes. The author was an obscure figure from the southern Song dynasty, but his master was a remarkable person. Deng Andao, the divine manifestation true Grand Master, who also enjoyed the offerings of the imperial court as the state preceptor. The southern Song was so heavily pressured by the Mongols that it was gasping for air, teetering on the brink of national extinction. Deng Andao felt deeply obliged to the emperor's grace and believed it was time for his own breakthrough, so he ignored all warnings and attempted to pass through the heavenly tribulation. And so the tragedy occurred. The author of the notes witnessed his own master soaring straight up 90,000 miles to cross the heavenly tribulation, only to be captured by the Gai god above. The original text read, "Demon beasts spun webs across the celestial gates, covering an area of 30,000 miles, their divine souls stuck, unable to escape." With the divine manifestation true Grand Master no longer suppressing them, the Song dynasty soon perished. This person left behind words warning future generations not to attempt crossing the heavenly tribulation. Yet there were no shortage of individuals who took their chances, always believing themselves to be the exceptional case. As the deaths mounted, all the sects tacitly sealed away everything related to the heavenly tribulation. Liu Yao quickly finished reading the paper books, then looked over all the inscribed items as well. As expected, one cannot pass the heavenly tribulation in the other world, the pathway to ascension is being blocked by that creature. Liu Yao showed no surprise, only thinking. Based on my previous experience of divine manifestation, I could totally return to Blue Star to cross the heavenly tribulation, and circumvent the blockade. At this moment, as Liu Yao pondered, the people around him did not even dare to breathe too loudly, fearing they might disturb him. Fortunately, although there were many items in the library, the essentials of spirit refining were often profound yet succinct, so it didn't take long to read through. Having gained some knowledge about the Thunder Tribulation realm, Liu Yao was quite satisfied with his findings, and said with a smile, "I thank sect leader Zhang for his generosity, I have no more questions now." "If Lord Lu is satisfied, that is good," Zhang Yunchu said modestly. Although Wudang has a long history, its zenith was during the Ming dynasty, so there's not much concerning the heavenly tribulation. He spoke the truth, but Liu Yao was already content. Sect leader Zhang is too modest, I truly benefited a lot from Wu Dang's complete spirit-refining legacy. At this moment, Liu Yao thought to himself, perhaps I could also take a look at the joyful sect. Despite the sect's poor reputation, it has a long-standing legacy, even older than that of the Wu Dang sect. Having gone through the entire Wu Dang sect's mystic cultivation manual, there was no need to stay any longer. Everyone started to head back. Zhang Yunxia took the lead, reminiscing about some historical anecdotes, speaking of which, Bai Lu's ancestors had some connections with Grandmaster Yu. At these words, everyone suddenly became interested. Zhang Yunxia continued. In the final years of the previous dynasty, the Jin army breached the defenses, burning, killing, and looting along their path, bringing untold misery to the people. 7 eminent figures could not stand by and watch, so they sacrificed themselves in a decisive strike outside of Imperial City, assassinating the great Khan of the Jin Empire, Nurasi. That battle was truly earth-shattering, and it even changed the course of the world's major trends. Bai Lu's ancestor, the 6th-generation Grandmaster from Grandmaster Yu's lineage, took part in that assassination. Hearing this, Liu Yao also remembered something Yu Yanmei had mentioned. Her ancestor had perished alongside the Jin general, Bachalu. Never expected there to be such a connection. The looks everyone gave Bai Liu clearly changed. Following that, Zhang Yunxia changed the subject. My disciple has always admired Lord Liu, and since you are all young, you may exchange ideas more often. Hearing her master's such frank words, Bai Liu visibly stiffened. She still hadn't recovered from her experience in the mausoleum underground palace, and the terrifying image of the Empress Dowager drawing her sword would flash before her eyes whenever she closed them. This tender young Daoist nun had developed an innate fear of matters between men and women. Now, she nervously stole several glances at Liu Yao. Luckily, Liu Yao just politely said, of course, we should indeed visit each other more often. Seizing the moment, Zhang Yunxia suggested, why don't you, Lord Liu, stay at Mount Wudang for a few days? We can exchange and spar with each other. The girls originally thought that their beloved would tactfully decline and quickly return to Imperial City, especially since there was a significant event awaiting him. But unexpectedly, Liu Yao agreed, I would like nothing more. And so, the family settled down peacefully in the scenic Mount Wudang. During the day, he would exchange and spar with Zhang Yunxia and Zhou He, while at night, he would close the doors to discuss matters with his own family, finding the life quite delightful. Only Yu Yanmei deliberately avoided Liu Yao, never being alone with him, which was a pity as it meant they had no opportunity for further intimacy. By the third day, the sisters realized that their husband didn't seem to be very interested in becoming the emperor. At that moment, the Liao family sisters were massaging Liu Yao. Liao Qi, while massaging his feet, asked without any reservations, Liu Yao, don't you want to become the emperor? To tell you the truth, not really, being the emperor of the mortal world isn't that appealing to me. Liu Yao rested his head upon Liao Ye's chest, comfortably squinting and saying. Besides the lack of benefits, there are a lot of troubles. Compared to being emperor, I would much rather break through to the Thunder Tribulation realm or achieve the martial golden body. Plus, I have my own plans for some matters. Liao Ye, with her spring onion-like fingers, massaged the top of his head, agreeing with his opinion. Whether our junior brother becomes the emperor or not doesn't really matter, personal strength is fundamental, otherwise, you'll end up like Emperor Yong'an. Hearing this, Liu Yao vigorously rubbed his head against her ample and luxurious good-heartedness. You're right, sister, being powerful is fundamental. And as long as I have all of you by my side, that's enough for me. You sure know how to make someone happy. The sisters' smiles bloomed like flowers, clearly delighted. Just then, Li Pei rushed in hectically, holding a newspaper in her hand. My lord, Left Minister is personally promoting you. The newspaper headlines boldly stated. The Left Minister says the Li clan is immoral. It might be possible to emulate the abdication system to choose a new and wise ruler. Liu Yao, holding the newspaper, shook his head with a wry smile. They're being too hasty. Chapter 448, Yun Qinglan pays respects to the mountain. Zhou Gong didn't mind a bit of empty honor. In his view, as long as Liu Yao ascended the throne and suppressed with absolute martial force, the power transition could be achieved at the lowest cost and the national situation could be stabilized at the quickest speed. But Liu Yao wasn't very interested. The emperor was like a class monitor to him, an aspiration during elementary and middle school for the prestige it held, but as he grew older he only found it to be troublesome. Moreover, he had his own plans. A world where power returned to oneself, efficiency was too low through political means like compromise, and the principle of prospering with compliance and perishing with defiance was much more direct. To achieve this, there was still some preparatory work needed, but that day would not be too far off. Liu Yao put down the newspaper and set these thoughts aside for the moment, asking Li Pei, "Where's your master?" "Riding around on Pingan, it's her daily unshakable routine," replied Li Pei. Li Pei also came over to help Liu Yao with a massage. "It's quite strange, actually. The spiritual sparrowhawk suddenly accepted my master, allowing her to touch and ride it as she likes," she said. The Liao family sisters also nodded in agreement, equally puzzled. However, they all understood Grandmaster Yu's temperament and thus did not think too deeply into it. In an undetectable tone, Liu Yao said, "Perhaps it is because their spirit wisdom is becoming higher and higher. They don't eat raw food anymore, do they? It's more than that. The spiritual sparrowhawks have developed a keen love for drinking. They've almost finished all the golden elixir brew," said Li Pei with an indulgent complaint, and Liao Qi added. "Moreover, each of the three is particularly picky with a different taste. Pingan prefers salty food, and Ji Xiang and Ru Yi tend to like sour and sweet flavors. They are quite a handful to serve." The Wudang sect had to summon chefs from the foothills overnight. Having watched the three little ones hatch and grow up, everyone doted on them dearly. Treated with daily delicacies and attended to with great care, they were even massaged and refined with innate true qi every single day. Even Bai Lu, a true disciple of Wudang, did not receive such treatment. Now, the three little ones were 4 meters in body length, with an 8-meter wingspan, and it was under consideration to advance them to the innate realm in a little while. There were difficulties, though. The notes of Elder Zhou contained only a few sparing words about innate realm spirit birds, providing no clue on how to achieve their breakthrough. While Liu Yao was considering this, Zhou He suddenly came over. "Elder Zhou, your arrival is timely. Do you have any idea about advancing spirit birds to the innate realm?" Liu Yao asked. "That's something I really don't have. Since the Han Dynasty, wild monster beasts have become increasingly rare. Those in the blood exchange realm can only be occasionally seen in the wilderness, and for innate realm beasts, some suspect they're extinct," Zhou He said as he began to elaborate on spirit birds without end. "The only method the old deist can think of is, when they are on the cusp of breaking through, the owner's soul travels out of the body and helps by possessing the spirit bird. But it must be communicated well in advance, as some spirit birds will instinctively resist. My own Sui Ai is like that, she absolutely refuses to let me possess her." Liu Yao nodded repeatedly as he listened. Possessing the spiritual sparrowhawk's body is indeed a method. "I'll try with the three little ones later. I'm sure they won't reject me." It was then that Zhou He suddenly clapped his head with a self-deprecating smile. "I almost forgot, I didn't come to discuss spirit birds. I'm here to inform you, the holy maiden Yun Qinglan of the joyful sect has come to pay a visit. Would you like to meet her? She brought quite a few things." "Brought quite a few things?" Liu Yao said, "Well then, let's meet." Zhou He nodded and then transmitted a message with his mind down the mountain. At that moment, Yun Qinglan was waiting at the foot of the mountain with a few trusted aides, standing by the Suanya seal of peace archway. All of these people were beautiful women, surrounded by Wudang disciples with various expressions. Some held righteous indignation with contempt on their faces, others appeared evasive with their eyes darting around, clearly frequent patrons of the businesses run by the joyful sect. However, adhering to the teachings of the Holy Maiden, the people from the joyful sect put away their usually flirtatious demeanor and stood there properly and earnestly. It wasn't long before Bai Lu appeared, her pretty face frosty as she said, "Lord Lu has agreed to see you. Let's go." "Thank you for the message, young lady," responded Yun Qinglan with a beaming smile, ready to lead her group up the mountain. But Bai Lu suddenly stretched out a hand to block the way, saying coldly, "Lord Lu will only see you alone." Yun Qinglan's expression remained unchanged as she smiled and hoisted up a box that was several times larger than a coffin, carrying it with one hand. As an innate martial artist, she had the strength of 18,000 jin, such a load was nothing to her. The two arrived at Liu Yao's location, one after the other, moving swiftly with their light body techniques. Yun Qinglan gently set down the items and performed a graceful curtsy. "This servant pays respect to Lord Lu." She was still dressed in her white attire, barefoot, which was quite a sight for the eyes, and said in a delicate voice, "This concubine has brought all the scriptures from the sect, and made rubbings of those that were inconvenient to carry, all of which are here for Lord Lu's perusal. Liu Yao gestured with his hand, and the large chest opened on its own, with the contents inside flying out in turn. The joyful sect, formerly known as the Holy Gate, has been in existence since the Warring States period, and even with some lost over time, it still has more to pass down than the Wudang sect. Liu Yao glanced over the items with satisfaction, but that was not all. Yun Qinglan then took out a thick stack of banknotes and offered them with both hands. Here is silver worth 50,000 taels, please accept it with a smile, my lord. Between the scriptures of the sect and the vast wealth offered, it seemed that the holy maiden was dead set on pledging her allegiance. Upon seeing the silver, Liu Yao shook his hand, keep it for yourself, I don't need it. In the space-time bubble, there was already 100 tons of silver sponsored by the Star Alliance country, so he was not the least bit interested in the joyful sect's offering. The bystanders like Bai Lu and Zhou He gasped in astonishment. First, they were shocked by the joyful sect's financial power, actually being able to produce 50,000 taels of silver on the spot. Sects, similar to enterprises, might seem to have a lot of assets, but the actual amount of money they can produce is often limited. Next, they were staggered by the confidence of Liu Yao, who nonchalantly refused the offer, as if he thought accepting the silver would be a nuisance. Only Li Pei and the Liao family sisters stood calmly behind their husband, showing no emotion. Seeing how casually Liu Yao handled the situation, Yun Qinglan was encouraged by the vast strength of her own master, which further solidified her resolve to switch sides. A great sect like hers could not be supported by someone of her low rank and innate status alone, she could be swallowed up by others at any moment. Lord Liu, this servant also has some news. After left minister spoke out in the papers, your fame has spread far and wide, receiving widespread support from north to south of Jiangnan, but there are those who refuse to acknowledge the times. They dare not confront you openly, so they use the newspapers under their control to target you in public opinion. Here are the headlines that will appear in tomorrow's papers, please take a look, she said. Yun Qinglan took out a piece of intelligence from her bosom and handed it over. A quick glance revealed that some people were extremely reluctant to see Liu Yao ascend the throne, advocating for constitutional monarchy or even a presidential system. In essence, they wanted to settle the issue of who holds power through democratic voting. Everyone but Liu Yao should be the emperor. Countless nobles, compradors, and warlords agreed that if they let him take the reins, they would no longer have good days ahead. And they were quite accurate in their assessment. Yun Qinglan continued, currently, the intelligence from Grand Master Yuan's mansion is under the control of Elder Ji Gui and cannot be leaked out, however, it's not hard to surmise that Grand Master Yuan must be supporting them from the shadows. Liu Yao nodded and said, you have done well, and I can see your dedication. Tell me, what do you need my help with? This holy maiden's unmistakable, overt defection was certainly not due merely to a fear of Liu Yao's strength, there had to be deeper reasons. As expected, Yun Qinglan knelt down and tearfully pleaded. According to the rules, the position of the sect master should have been inherited by this servant, but with my shallow experience, I've repeatedly suffered oppression. Especially from Elder Ji Gui, who, using Grand Master Yuan's power, covets my body. I implore Lord Liu to make a decision for me. This matter is not difficult. With a stretch of Liu Yao's hand, a plump walnut fell from a walnut tree in the mountains. His mind force infused into the walnut, peeling away its outer skin, making it shiny and sleek as if it had aged for over a decade. Liu Yao then handed the walnut to Yun Qinglan, with this, you will be under my school. If anyone dares to bully you again, I will personally take care of it for you. Yun Qinglan quickly accepted the walnut, which carried the mind force of a divine manifestation, her eyes shining with excitement. Thank you for your gracious gift, my lord. In the secret treasury of our joyful sect, there is still gold stored, which requires the sect master, the bodhisattva, and the elders to access together. Once I succeed as the sect master, I will surely present it to you with both hands. Liu Yao gestured dismissively, go now, and remember, stop practicing the celestial transformation. I shall heed Lord Lu's decree. Yun Qinglan hesitated, seemingly not wanting to leave, as she wished to attend to him in his bedchamber. But catching a glimpse of the displeased expressions of the three ladies behind Liu Yao, she left with reluctance. Chapter 449, Heavenly Demon Dance. The history of the joyful sect is even longer than that of Wudang, and Yun Qinglan was willing to spare no expense to cling to Liu Yao's coattails, bringing with her an astonishing collection of manuscripts. Everything was included, martial path, spirit refinement, and various minor disciplines. Due to the unique nature of their sect, the Joyful sect had unique insights into the cultivation of women, and many secret manuals had Li Pei and the Liao family sisters unable to take their eyes off them once they were in their hands. Not only that, but those secondary manuscripts were also of great use. At this moment, Liu Yao was holding a book titled The Tale of the White Snake, shocked. The author was Su Hanwen, a spirit refinement powerhouse from the Tang dynasty, who raised a white snake all the way to the innate realm, until it transformed into a human form, and eventually rode off on the white snake, living freely and joyfully. Although snakes are somewhat different from birds, many methods of rearing spirit pets were worth referencing. He quickly called Zhou He over to study it together. Zhou He was very interested, and after looking at it for a while, he said, "I owe it to Lu's good fortune to have my horizons broadened. Apparently, after a spirit pet undergoes a blood exchange, it first needs to form a demon core, and after forming the core, it can actually transform into human form. However, each step is extremely difficult, and if we let the spirit pet do it on its own, it would almost certainly be a life or death struggle. Even with our assistance it's not completely without risk, we still need to be careful and cautious." After some study, the two of them made great gains, their faces immediately showing joy. Liu Yao also called down Ji Xiang and Ru Yi, reaching out with his mind force to perform inner vision for comparison. The two spiritual sparrowhawks looked at him with human-like puzzled expressions, allowing their master to manipulate them as he wished. After busying themselves to thoroughly digest their findings, Liu Yao said with a smile, "When they break through the barrier, my assistance will increase the chances significantly." Zhou He looked at the box full of precious manuscripts and felt shocked. These were all willingly offered. "Little friend Liu, before we knew it, you have become one of the top figures in the divine land, and even if we look globally, you're one of the powerful ones." And Zhou He glanced at Li Pei and the Liao family sisters, who were also flipping through the books, and said sincerely, "Your family, including those close to you, are all brave and benevolent, which is truly rare. With you around, you are a blessing to the common people of the world. No matter what happens in the future, I will certainly stand by your side, and the Wudang sect will stand by your side too." Liu Yao nodded heavily, "Thank you for your trust, Taoist priest." These past few days, he had been exchanging and sparring with brother Zhou He, and many young disciples from Wudang also watched on the sidelines. Liu Yao had a good impression of this sect and thought it could be supported. After chatting for a while, Zhou He stood up to take his leave, going back to ponder over his own immortal crane. After sending him off, Liu Yao planned to see what else was in these manuscripts from the Joyful sect. Turning his head, he saw that the three sisters were studying a secret manual, the title of which was Great Joy in the Dance of Heavenly Demons. This was the Joyful sect's top-tier nourishing technique, illustrated in a way that was not suitable for children, but explained very meticulously. The sisters were engrossed and enjoying the read, their pale faces also blushing with excitement. Hey, stop looking at stuff that's not for children." Liu Yao quickly went over to stop them, having witnessed the power of this content when he was in the underground palace. Now, relying on the physical enhancements brought about by all three divine skills automatically cultivated, he barely resisted the three sisters' exhaustion. If they learned a professional nourishing technique, it would be too much. The three sisters put down the heavenly demon dance and turned to read books about women's proper cultivation. But they were all firm in spirit refinement, the content not suitable for children had been etched into their minds, and Li Pei and Liao Qi even looked at Liu Yao with mischievous smiles. Liao Ye's face was blushing, and for some reason, she felt especially attuned to the heavenly demon dance, finding it exceptionally easy to learn. Following that, Liu Yao quickly flipped through all the books, focusing particularly on the sections about spirit refinement, especially the writings on thunder tribulation. She confirmed that what she needed to do next was to further strengthen her divine soul and step into the first minor realm of divine manifestation. The soaring realm. The divine soul could completely exist outside the body, and even if it didn't return to the physical body for 3 days and 3 nights, it wouldn't perish, it could ride the wind and soar up 90,000 miles. The second minor realm was named Lightning Hearing. This was necessary preparation for the divine soul to grow stronger before crossing thunder tribulation. Many people have had the experience of shuddering at the booming of thunder, understanding its danger from just the sound alone. It's far too risky for a frail divine soul to go through thunder's cleansing all at once, hence the necessity to first go through the baptism of its sound, strengthening and adapting to it. With a clear path ahead, Liu Yao couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Looking up, she realized it was already deep into the night. She had been reading all day without noticing. The tomes Yun Qinglan brought are quite good, subduing her is indeed a master stroke. She stretched languidly and got up to return to her room, only to discover that the lights were still blazing bright and the three girls hadn't gone to bed. Liao Qi ran over excitedly, took Liu Yao's arm, and cooed, "Let me dance for you." Liu Yao's expression shifted, "Ah! It's not the great joy in the dance of heavenly demons, is it? You actually learned it. Go ahead, don't underestimate my resolve." Liao Qi closed the door tightly and had Liu Yao sit on the bed, then slowly began to shed her clothes. Her snow-white and beautiful body gradually revealed itself, reflecting a honey-like fluorescence under the light. The girl danced to an odd rhythm, fully displaying the beauty of a woman. Liu Yao watched with a parched throat and a racing heart, yet she still managed to endure. Li Pei laughed and said, "My lord, we looked through the tomes and found that people have some misunderstandings about the joyful sect. Their cultivation techniques seem tailor-made for women, very suitable for our cultivation. Especially this heavenly demon dance, which cultivates both inside and out. We practice it with twice the results for half the effort." Liu Yao nodded, "There is no good or evil in martial arts, only in people. If it's useful, then practice it." Li Pei covered her mouth and giggled softly, "Then you should see how well your concubine has practiced it." After she finished speaking, she flicked her clothes aside and joined in the dance, reminding, "Liao Qi, be a bit more restrained in your movements, the allure of the partially hidden is the most tempting." Liao Qi did as told, and their movements soon complemented each other. Two beautiful women, fair-skinned and gorgeous, with enchanting figures. Even their unpracticed writhing was overwhelmingly seductive, not to mention their professional choreography. Liu Yao couldn't help but praise their skills, but since they had only just learned the dance, she was still able to resist. Then the two women called Liaoya over to join, but Liaoya shook her head, "Forget it, it's quite embarrassing." Liu Yao reached out and landed a smack on her ample buttocks, "We've been through more embarrassing situations than this. Go on, let me have a look." The slap was somewhat painful and Liaoya glared at her junior brother, "You asked for this yourself." Then, with a look of excitement and eagerness, she stepped into the dance floor. Liu Yao felt that the dance, simply as an art form, was extremely refined, and an excellent form of entertainment for the boudoir. She was ready to enjoy it closely. But as Liaoya twisted her slender, tight waist, the atmosphere in the room instantly changed. A hint of lewdness permeated the air, and Liu Yao's breathing became heavy immediately. Liaoya's movements were not much different from her younger sisters and Li Pei's, yet they carried an intense emotion that evoked the most primal instincts buried deep within human genes. Very quickly, Li Pei and Liao Qi stopped dancing, looking at Liaoya in astonishment. The difference in skill level was like comparing a primary school student who practiced all summer with a national-level dance performer. Liaoya, completely lost in the dance, felt as if these movements were designed specifically for her, exceptionally comfortable. Soon, a refreshing and enchanting fragrance began to waft through the air. Orchid fragrance. For the first time without Liu Yao's assistance, Liaoya actively released this scent. At that moment, everyone in the room flushed red with surging emotions. Chapter 450, Return. When Liu Yao woke up, the sun was already high in the sky. Three sisters also stretched lazily and woke up in succession. Last night was too chaotic and explosive, and now the room was a mess, with a pungent smell lingering. Logically, after such an event, one should feel extremely exhausted, but Liu Yao had been smelling the orchid fragrance all night, and this magical pheromone made her feel exceptionally refreshed and clear-headed, in an incredibly good state. The sisters also looked radiant, their skin extra soft and tender, and even reflected a luminous sheen. Liu Yao looked at Liaoya in surprise and said, "Sister, you were amazing. The extreme bliss devil dance in your hands was even more powerful than the holy maiden Yun Qinglan's. I was completely mesmerized last night." In the Kinling Mausoleum underground palace, both the joyful Bodhisattva and Yun Qinglan had performed the heavenly demon dance, but they were nowhere near as good as Liaoya's. Bear in mind, the former had been practicing since childhood, while Liaoya had just learned it in less than a day. The reason must be her orchid fragrance physique. Li Pei and Liao Qi, one on each side, encircled her with wide, curious eyes. "Your dance was like that of a celestial maiden soaring through the skies. It seemed pure and sacred, yet it made one's blood surge uncontrollably at just a glance. Sister, you danced so beautifully, so innocent, yet so tempting, even I couldn't help but be moved. Teach me, quick. Embarrassed by recollections of last night, Liaoya said shyly. I don't know what happened either, I just felt extremely in tune with the technique, and got lost in the dance. Li Pei said, it's said that the creator of the Extreme Bliss Devil Dance had the same physique as you, and the joyful sect has always been eager to find women with the orchid fragrance. This technique seems tailor-made for you. Liu Yao had heard her mention this before and remembered it well. She now asked Liaoya with concern. Sister, have you experienced anything unusual since practicing the heavenly demon dance? Liaoya, somewhat embarrassedly, glanced downward and said in a low voice, I've absorbed a lot of your divine essence and vital essence, 1 day's worth equals to 10 years of practice. Liu Yao asked in confusion, really? I didn't feel anything. On the contrary, I'm in an exceptionally good state. Liaoya spoke even softer, I gave it back to you. Liu Yao hugged her tightly and exclaimed with joy, Sister always treats me the best, the benefits I consumed have been returned to me. Li Pei couldn't help but giggle. What she practiced is not the sinister path of drawing essence, but a proper dual cultivation technique. As you said, martial arts are neither good nor evil, it all depends on the practitioner's heart. Liu Yao nodded, agreeing that this was indeed the case. Liaoya didn't want to draw essence from others, so the heavenly demon dance became an ultimate method of energy exchange through dual cultivation among martial artists. Coupled with the joyful sect scriptures' in-depth study of female cultivation, this incident brought tremendous benefits to the 3 sisters, a delightful surprise indeed. Liu Yao thought of something and said to Li Pei, by the way, ask your master to come have a look too, as a woman, she will surely gain something. Li Pei immediately agreed, I'll call her right away, we can study it together. First Li Pei, together with Liao Qi, helped their lord wash and change, then tidied up the room and opened the windows to let in fresh air and disperse the inappropriate smell. Then she went out to invite Yu Yanmei, who hadn't been seen for many days. Grandmaster Yu had recently been either flying around on her spiritual sparrowhawk or admiring the beautiful scenery of Mount Wudang, and seldom met with Liu Yao. Even now, her greeting was nothing more than a cool nod, as if she were a stranger. Just as she had said, she wanted to treat what happened in the underground palace as an accident, a dream. Liu Yao knew that haste wouldn't bring success, so she didn't rush things, for fear of scaring the moon fairy away. Only Li Pei looked suspiciously between the two of them, feeling that something was amiss. Fortunately, at this moment Liu Yao said, I'll be leaving for a few days, so I'll help each of you refine your magical treasures. At this, the sisters hurriedly took out their magical treasures. Li Pei produced the imperial jade seal, Liaoya brought out the dark bird form, and Liao Qi had Madame Su's dagger on her. Yu Yanmei also shyly removed the divine sword Tai. Outsiders only noticed that each of these beauties had cultivation levels above innate, but little did they know that each held a magical treasure in hand. The expedition to the mausoleum underground palace armed the entire family. The group of women together might not be able to defeat the Empress Dowager, but they could certainly beat Grandmaster Zheng. Unbeknownst to him, Liu Yao had amassed a terrifying force just with his harem. However, a downside was that the beauty's spirit refining stage was not sufficient. To activate these magical treasures, they all relied on the mind force and the wish power that Liu Yao had infused beforehand. Of course, there's a price to pay to wield power that isn't your own. The daily maintenance of these magical treasures was terrifyingly costly, akin to someone simultaneously supporting 10 luxury cruise ships. If it were not for the help from Blue Star, it would be completely unaffordable. Having stored the magical treasures away, Liu Yao inquired about the treasure that could preserve beauty and extend life. Do you take turns wearing the jade pendant? Liao Qi undid her collar to reveal a palm-sized, semicircular jade tucked inside and said sweetly. We take turns wearing it, and then at bath time at night, we also put it in the water in advance. As much as others yearned for the jade pendant, to Liu Yao's family, it wasn't all that useful. The item could preserve beauty and extend life, but the women were at the most beautiful stage of their lives, with smooth and tight skin that needed no aids. Liu Yao rubbed Liao Qi's head and smiled, cultivate well, by the time I come back, there might be some big movements. Oh? Big movements? The sisters were very curious, but Liu Yao just smiled and said nothing, waving his hand as he left. Liu Yao had his own plans. There's an old saying, achieve greatness and you shall aid the world. Next, he needed to unite the fragmented Shun dynasty and gradually remodel the world to his liking. This time, just right on the coattails of Zhou Gong's fortune, it was time to deal with a bunch of jumping clowns. The theme was prosper with compliance, perish with defiance, and certainly, some trash that only made rice expensive by its mere existence deserved to die. But there were also those whose crimes did not warrant death, and Liu Yao didn't mind giving them a chance. Just as he was about to open the door to return to Blue Star, the tiger talisman given by Ying Zheng suddenly transmitted a mental fluctuation. It must be that Ying Zheng had something to communicate. Liu Yao took it out to connect, and the other party's voice also immediately transmitted. I have good news for you. I have fixed the least damaged of the golden statues and restored some of its combat power. These golden statues were war machines crafted by the first emperor of Qin, naturally possessing boundless might. That's great news, but will gold and wish power still be enough? For now, there's no shortage, but it will definitely not be enough in the long run. The spirit of the first emperor of Qin was quite generous, having given many treasures, and Liu Yao wouldn't be stingy either. Leave the gold and the wish power to me, you just use them boldly. Ying Zheng initially sighed with relief, then immediately reminded him. Su Fu and the demon god above us do not know my real situation, they will definitely probe next. I need you to help me block as much as possible, they must not know that the ancestral dragon is dead. Liu Yao became serious as well, I'll do my best. They are not in their prime state either. That demon god is half asleep, and Su Fu must have survived till now using a body-seizing technique. If things become impossible, retreat towards Epang Palace, and I will make a move. I understand. After ending the mental conversation, Liu Yao opened the door and returned to Blue Star. There was quite a lot to do this time. Chapter 451, Treasures of the Deep Sea. Ever since Liu Yao burst onto the scene, the Star Alliance country had repeatedly made a fool of itself on the international stage, completely embarrassing itself. At first, it was just overseas military bases being attacked before they staged a public trial farce. One would think that was the most humiliating moment, but unexpectedly there was even more national humiliation to come. The huge pit in the national park was like a pair of cold and merciless hands, fiercely slapping the face of the Star Alliance country. That pit was once a national monument, brazenly stolen, along with extorting a massive wealth. Thanks to the advanced network of modern society, everything happened in full view, known to every electrified corner of the Blue Star. And the impact was more than just a national disgrace. Following a series of events, the dominance of the Star Alliance currency in the foreign exchange market was questioned. Investors moved their money from the Star Alliance currency to gold, causing its value to depreciate continuously. Since the national monument was publicly taken by Liu Yao, the exchange rate of the Star Alliance currency against foreign currencies had depreciated by 20%, reaching an all-time low. Then came a full-scale stock market crash with the three major indexes plummeting by 8%, eventually triggering a circuit breaker mechanism to suspend trading, wiping out a total market value of 2 trillion in a single day. The common people of the Star Alliance country didn't feel much impact, but the elites of Wall Street and a host of tycoons were severely hit, with their wealth significantly reduced overnight, inciting uncontrollable rage. Once the real rulers of the country got angry, the higher-ups of the Star Alliance government hadn't slept well, with even the president feeling anxious all day long. Under such circumstances, departments like scientific research, military industry, and intelligence, all started operating at high speed, pondering over a thorough solution to the Liu Yao problem. In this situation, Liu Yao finally returned to the long-missed planet. Oh, the busyness of life! As soon as he arrived, he was in the clouds, pulled by gravity and falling at high speed. Liu Yao calmly summoned the willpower golden dragon to catch him. This time he had 3 things to do. The simplest was to use willpower to refine magical treasures, which he was already doing. He let several magical treasures hover 3 feet above his head and then raised his hand to summon a tide of wishes to pour down. Bathed in the ocean of spiritual power, these magical treasures thrived like fish in water, visibly becoming joyful, their glows flickering. Speaking of which, these magical treasures from the underground palace have been neglected for a long time and are indeed in a sorry state. This time is perfect for maintenance. Right, let's also refine this set of flying needles from the Golden Lotus sect. He then took out the 81 flying needles used by Lin Mengsheng and placed them into the tide of wishes for maintenance. Compared to the pile of magical treasures and ice jade he had obtained, this little thing seemed unimpressive, but it would make a nice gift for someone. After taking out all the magical treasures he had on him and suspending them in the air for refinement, Liu Yao began the second task. This task wasn't difficult either, it only required a phone call. Calling the couple Li Jin and Zhao Yi. He took out the PDA that Li Jin had helped to purchase, and after no more than 3 rings, the other side answered, their voice filled with excitement. I said I've had a twitch in my left eyelid all day, turns out an immortal was going to call me. Zhao Yi's voice also chimed in playfully, I still remember Liu Yao saying he practiced family martial arts, who would have thought he was a cultivator. The couple's voices were full of joy, showing they were in good spirits. Liu Yao laughed and said, fate is indeed wondrous, sometimes it even amazes me. How have you two been lately? Thanks to your help, we are both fed by royal grain now, serving as minor leaders in a research institute under Northern Industry. This couple was the most frequently in touch with Liu Yao domestically, highly valued and well taken care of, and were arranged positions in the military-industrial enterprise. From their tone, they seemed quite satisfied with their current life. Liu Yao, did you call for a reason? There is something. I need more of the battle armor you designed for me before, Zhao sister. The couple were very prompt in their response, that's easy to handle. We are both at Northern Industry now, which exports tanks and armored vehicles, and we'll make sure to get you the best. No need for you to spend any money, reporting it up and getting it for free is quite normal. Liu Yao said with a laugh, thank you for your kindness, but this time is different. I need 1,000 of those light battle armors, each to be fitted with a .50 machine gun, and for the heavy mechas, I need 100, each fitted with a cannon. Upon hearing this request, the couple was momentarily stunned. The battle armors Liu Yao needed were familiar to them, normal people couldn't even walk in them. As for wearing them himself, setting aside whether he would need so many, knowing Liu Yao's strength from online knowledge popularization, he could easily tear apart these steel armors like ripping open a soda can. However, it's best for mortals to interfere less in the affairs of immortals. Li Jin and Zhao Yi exchanged glances and hastily replied. Rest assured, we'll make sure you are perfectly satisfied. While the couple was mindful of the task, they exchanged a few pleasantries and ended the call. However, Li Jin just mentioned. Since the last time they extorted gold from the Star Alliance country, the international price of gold skyrocketed recently. Liu Yao opened the browser to check, and indeed, it had already gone up nearly tenfold. There were also rumors saying he was going to use the gold for alchemy. Liu Yao felt a mix of amusement and disbelief, let them be. After all, I also don't plan on buying it with money. The third matter he had to attend to upon returning was acquiring gold. Liu Yao didn't plan to buy, nor did he plan to rob. After all, he still relied on the wish power of Blue Star, and he had to be mindful of his personal image. Everything should be done with reason. Fortunately, the scriptures sent by the joyful sect broadened his horizons, and Liu Yao came up with an excellent idea. In ancient times, many divine beings would control their minds to enter the deep sea and cultivate with the assistance of the water pressure. However, the downside was the danger. The deep sea of Otherworld harbored many terrifying and strange monsters. Despite the effective cultivation results, few dared to undertake it. Liu Yao could naturally do the same, and the oceans of Blue Star were even more comfortable. At the same time, the oceans of Blue Star were also filled with opportunities. Throughout history, many shipwrecks, especially during World War II, when the Axis powers plundered a lot of gold, were sunk during transport back to their countries via ships and submarines due to accidents or attacks. The locations of many shipwrecks had already been mapped out, but they were deep in the sea, several thousand to nearly 10,000 meters deep. The maximum diving record of nuclear submarines was less than 1,300 meters. With current technology, it was very difficult to salvage these treasure-laden shipwrecks. Liu Yao found on his smartphone that the He Kingdom looted more than 20,000 tons of gold from Xia country. There were recorded sinking incidents, at least 5 of them. One of them was even the submarine that was nicknamed the Underwater Aircraft Carrier, Type I, with a load capacity of over 300 tons. These were what Liu Yao had set his sights on. Not only could he get the gold, but he could also use the opportunity to cultivate, and then broadcast it live to the world to reap a wave of wish power, killing 3 birds with 1 stone and feeling absolutely content. Seeing that the refinement of various magical treasures was almost complete, Liu Yao slapped his thigh and took off right away. Meanwhile, the battle armors and mechas that he requested were also receiving high priority, elite forces were arranged to work overtime to produce them. Chapter 452, Business of 10 Billion. Liu Yao sat atop the head of the willpower golden dragon, freely galloping and roaming. Magical treasure, such a thing was meant for the celestial lords of the thunder tribulation realm to use. Daily maintenance and the activation of its mighty powers both required a massive consumption of mind force or willpower, and not being in a high enough realm meant paying a steep price for its use. Lucky for him, Blue Star possessed an inexhaustible supply of willpower. The golden dragon could be used here at will without worrying about depletion. Moreover, as Blue Star's understanding and worship of Xia country's dragon capital deepened, the golden dragon grew stronger merely by showing up on the planet, even if it did nothing. Its power-ups were more extreme than that of Liu Yao, its own master. Before he knew it, it had grown 100 meters long, still 1/3 bigger than a passenger jet. At this moment, Liu Yao steered the golden dragon along the Arctic route towards Xia country, continuously navigating by Earth's magnetic field. This azure planet was magnificent and beautiful, providing so much help. My old home here is my foundation, I need to maintain it well. The golden dragon's rapid flight stirred up waves tens of meters high as it dashed toward its destination. Liu Yao had planned to buy a deep-sea camera to deal with the gold matter, but he didn't expect to receive a call from the couple Li Jin and Zhao Ye first. After connecting, Zhao Ye's voice rang out, "Liu Yao, your item is ready." Glancing at the time, only 6 hours had passed, and Liu Yao was somewhat surprised, that fast. This is one of the top 10 military enterprises globally, the structure of what you asked for is simple, of course, it's fast. Zhao Ye added, of course, it's also because the higher-ups value this, immediately assembled the best of the best, and fully opened the production line. Then, thank you very much. This wasn't bad either. He could pick up the item first and also sort out the equipment problem along the way. Right away, Liu Yao said, right, Zhao, can you find a way to get me a deep-sea live broadcasting equipment? Deep-sea live broadcasting equipment? What are you going to do with that? What else? Live broadcasting deep-sea treasure hunting adventures. Why all of a sudden? All right, wait for my message, there shouldn't be any problems. Xia country, the capital's western suburbs, Warehouse 073. Since yesterday, a traffic control had been implemented within a 20-kilometer radius, strictly forbidding any individuals and vehicles from entering or leaving. Military drones also patrolled the sky, ready to shoot down anyone daring to peek. When the time reached 8 o'clock in the morning, Liu Yao arrived riding the golden dragon. Letting the golden dragon grasp the stone lion in the sky to absorb the Yanhuang willpower, Liu Yao leapt from mid-air and lightly floated down in front of two people. Waiting for him were none other than the couple Li Jin and Zhao Ye. When they saw Liu Yao descending from the sky, they were not too surprised, as his videos were everywhere on various apps. No normal person hadn't seen 100 or 80 of them. Upon meeting, Li Jin warmly embraced the long-unseen Liu Yao. Your feats are truly fantastical, it still feels like I'm dreaming. But no matter what, our whole family is always grateful and supportive of you. Liu Yao had saved Li Jin's family twice, and their gratitude was heartfelt. You two men stop being sappy, Zhao Ye said from the side. Give Liu Yao the items first, don't hold up the immortal's business. Only then did Li Jin lead Liu Yao into the warehouse. There were 1,000 light battle armors, and 100 heavy mechas neatly arranged, with a .50 caliber machine gun and a Gatling gun mounted on their shoulders respectively. The quality of Xia country's military industry was certainly extraordinary. These steel fortresses looked exceptionally fierce, but the details were somewhat rounded, showcasing meticulous craftsmanship. Liu Yao was very satisfied, and that wasn't all. Li Jin took out an even thinner cell phone and handed it over, saying, "This is the latest communication terminal. It connects to the Baidu satellite, more secure and reliable than what you currently use, and can adapt to a variety of extreme conditions." Thanks, Liu Yao nodded, accepting the special cell phone made entirely of alloy. Then, Zhao Ye pointed to a diving device about 2 meters long, resembling a large black fish, and said, "You wanted deep-sea live broadcast equipment, right? This is an unmanned submarine. It used to be sent by the Star Alliance country to scout in our waters. Later, one was caught by a fisherman. This is the domestic version after reverse engineering, and it incorporates some of the Striver's technologies." The Striver was Xia country's 10,000-meter manned submersible which had taken crewmen down over 10,000 meters to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Pointing at the clearly advanced military equipment, Zhao Ye went on. The control program is already integrated into the phone I gave you just now. The communication devices transmit optical signals. You only need to deploy a simple base station on the sea surface, and it can operate at the bottom of the sea, 10,000 meters deep. Liu Yao memorized the usage method, then looked up and asked, "How much for all these things?" Li Jin took out a briefcase and smiled, saying, "Not a single cent. You might even make a profit. Here are several agreements you can take a look at." At first glance, they were broadcasting agreements from several provincial satellite TVs and social media giants. There were also several media groups wanting to represent the overseas broadcasting rights for this live event. The agreements involved amounts in the billions, totaling nearly 100 billion yuan when added up. These were huge enterprises, with entwined relations with government departments. They got wind of Liu Yao's plans for a deep-sea live broadcast early on. Realizing the astonishing profits involved, they rushed forward immediately. Seeing that all those involved were domestic giants, and that all they needed were his signatures on various authorizations, Liu Yao, who also needed to expand his influence to maintain his willpower, casually agreed to all of them with a wave of his hand. In an instant, 100 billion yuan deal was struck. Li Jin and his wife Zhaoya also breathed a sigh of relief and said with a smile, "Before coming here, we were begged by those guys for a long time, fearing that you, being like an immortal, wouldn't be interested in worldly gains. Now we can finally rest assured." The couple had been silent up until now, allowing Liu Yao to make his own decisions. This outcome was a joy for everyone. Next, Liu Yao had the willpower golden dragon dive down and collect all the items on the ground into its body, then one by one, placed them into the space-time bubble. And it was at this moment, in a mobile command base 10 kilometers away, that numerous scientists exclaimed in astonishment. "What is this dragon made of? All the detection instruments' data is in chaos. It seems to have been subjected to strong electromagnetic interference. The golden dragon itself is formed by a strong magnetic field constraining ions, unintentionally releasing electron pulses." At this point, the instruments around these scientists were in total disarray, their readings fluctuating wildly, having completely lost any reference value. An elderly man with white hair and beard said, "Let's see if Li Jin and his wife can obtain a sample of his hair. With their relationship, it shouldn't be hard." However, a middle-aged man in military attire intervened. "No. We must not do anything that could affect the bilateral relationship. Be patient. Stability is key, and opportunities will come in the future." Elsewhere, Liu Yao once more embraced Li Jin and his wife Zhaoya to say goodbye. "I need to go. When I have some downtime, I'll seek you out to catch up. Farewell, Liu Yao. May your journey be smooth." Chapter 453, Deep Sea Practice. The agreement was signed, and domestic major satellite TV stations as well as social media giants immediately began viral marketing campaigns to maximize their profits. But in fact, it didn't require much of an advertising push. The news that Blue Star's only Superman, the Immortal, was going to start a live broadcast spread across the country in just 1 hour, and across the globe in less than 3 hours. It was exactly 1 p.m., and Blue Star's people immediately leveraged their initiative, overcoming a series of challenges such as work, study, and time differences, to squat in front of their screens ready to enjoy the big show. Amidst much anticipation, Liu Yao arrived at the sea area between the two countries. During the outbreak of that world war, He Kingdom had 174 ocean-going submarines, of which 130 were sunk. In the final stages of the war, as He Kingdom's desperate struggles prevailed, it crazily plundered wealth from Xia country to offset its own losses, which inevitably included the most precious gold. Now, these treasures lay asleep at the bottom of the ocean, waiting to see the light of day once again. "Let's place this buoy-style base station on the surface of the sea." Liu Yao placed a hat-shaped buoy on the surface of the water, which was also equipped with solar panels. Having set up the signal transmission and reception devices and turned on the onboard cameras of the unmanned submarine, the live broadcast began. As he waved to the camera, all of Blue Star instantly became abuzz. The Superman is really live streaming. The theme of this live broadcast is deep sea exploration and treasure hunting? What exactly is he going to do? Mind your own business when it comes to what immortals do. At that moment, Liu Yao clearly felt a surge in the density of willpower, and the proportion of positive willpower had increased significantly. Is starting a live stream really that effective? He was somewhat surprised, as the matter of willpower was just a byproduct, and he hadn't expected such impressively good results. Liu Yao had vastly underestimated his own influence on Blue Star. It could be said that no one in history had ever been more famous or more captivating. Looks like I need to be more serious in a bit. Liu Yao gave a gentle smile to the camera, then dove into the sea with the unmanned submarine following behind him. This deep-sea journey's primary goal was, of course, cultivation, which is the fundamental basis for survival in both worlds. Among the scriptures contributed by the joyful sect was a bamboo scroll titled Chronicles of Continued Marvels, authored by the famous Spring and Autumn Warring States period alchemist Zhang Boqiao, which described his experiences cultivating in the deep sea. He believed that the pressure of the deep sea would cause immense pain to cultivators, but if they persevered, both their physique and spirit would be greatly tempered and they would reap tremendous benefits. Recalling the contents of the scripture, Liu Yao descended rapidly. His body contained immense strength, with an overall exertion of nearly 11 tons, now transformed into a mighty driving force. With a kick of his legs, Liu Yao shot through the water like a torpedo, his clear trail evident as he raced 300 meters ahead. This speed was too much for the unmanned submarine to keep up with, so Liu Yao, agile like a fish, swam behind the submarine and pushed it downward. The aperture points of his governor and conception vessels also opened automatically, absorbing oxygen from the seawater. At a depth of 200 meters below the sea, he was in the most wondrous and magnificent part of the ocean. Colorful marine life was abundant, many fish species had never seen humans, approached curiously, and allowed Liu Yao to stroke them without resistance. At this distance, the unmanned submarine was able to transmit a 4K signal, and the audience clearly witnessed all this, expressing their amazement. "It's so beautiful, and look, Superman can actually breathe underwater. He's more agile in the water than I imagined, his speed is on par with a torpedo. He's definitely not here just to enjoy the scenery, looking forward to what's going to happen next." Liu Yao played around for a little while before he continued with his journey, plunging into the depths of 1,000 meters with the aid of super-fast mobility. This depth is the limit for nuclear submarines. No matter how sturdy and thick the pressure-resistant shell is, it cannot withstand the increasing pressure of the deep sea. Liu Yao moved around and felt that it was manageable, akin to an ordinary person carrying a 10-kilogram weight, so he swam toward even deeper regions. As he dived deeper and deeper, first the light disappeared, the water temperature plummeted, and signs of life gradually vanished. The once vibrant world became a silent expanse of death. By now, at a depth of 2 kilometers, Liu Yao finally felt a long-lost sense of fatigue under the enormous pressure of the sea. It was then that he saw a sperm whale swimming past him, its 18-meter-long body moving leisurely. The highest diving record for nuclear submarines isn't even 1,300 meters. The fact that a sperm whale, a creature of flesh and blood, could live so leisurely here is a marvel of nature's creation that demands admiration. Having reached the bottom of this section of the sea, Liu Yao moved a distance deeper, arriving at the seabed 3 kilometers down. The pressure there felt intense, like when he was still a mortal carrying a gas cylinder, with a sense of laborious movement. "This is far enough, let's start from here," he said. Liu Yao's divine soul then left his body, followed by the appearance of his spiritual projection. The towering spiritual projection shone faintly in the pitch-dark sea bottom, providing a sliver of light in this place. With the aid of this light, the unmanned submarines were able to work better. At this distance, they could only transmit blurry visual signals, similar to the video quality of the old Nokia phones. The audience watching the live stream still had no idea what Liu Yao was up to. Immediately after, Liu Yao began his plan. His body and divine soul took separate paths. The body utilized the sea pressure for tri-cultivation, meanwhile, his divine soul opened the heavenly eye, scouring the seabed for sunken ships. This way, Liu Yao immediately felt a double dose of agony. The normally intangible and unconscious divine soul started to become unstable and fluctuate under the oppression of the intense sea pressure. Dizzy and with blurred vision, Liu Yao quickly strained himself to stabilize. But his body was also in considerable distress, feeling as if it were being compressed underneath a road roller, with every bone and aperture point about to be flattened. Liu Yao gritted his teeth and forced himself to endure, realizing that this was an excellent opportunity to push his limits, an environment not available on land. Despite the agony, the effects of cultivation were indeed indisputable. Innate is about opening aperture points, the Jinwala realm is about closing them, creating one's own world. Between this opening and closing lies the cultivation of apertures, with the ultimate goal of making the aperture points breathe. At this moment, withstanding the terrifying sea pressure, Liu Yao used true qi to refine his aperture points while drawing oxygen from the seawater, his body strained to its limit. After persisting for a while, he suddenly felt that each of the previously unified aperture points became distinctly felt and came under his control. The first to be controlled was the Tenzong A cup ointment at his chest, which is also the first place most people learn to control. With a single thought from Liu Yao, this vital point in the human body closed like an eye. Although it lasted for less than a second, he was overjoyed. The first step is always the hardest. Once taken, the path ahead is clear. When I can fully control all 720 aperture points around my body, that will be the time I enter the Jinwuo realm, he thought. I have plenty of gold, reaching the golden body realm will surely be within my grasp. Then, by nourishing my divine soul with my physical body, a breakthrough in the spirit refinement realm is within reach. The more Liu Yao thought about it, the happier he became, and at that moment, his divine soul scanning the seabed like radar with heavenly eye made a discovery. 15 kilometers to the southeast, there lay a submarine sunk at the bottom of the sea. Chapter 454, Underwater Aircraft Carrier. This was a heap of steel wreckage half buried in the mud on the sea floor. From its outline, it appeared to be a submarine, directly hit by a torpedo or a depth charge, cleanly broken into two pieces, so damaged that it was impossible to make out the model. Liu Yao maneuvered his sluggish divine soul into it. Everything inside had been turned into mush by the sea water. It was estimated that before long, all traces of this submarine would be completely erased by nature. He found countless dirty lumps of earth within the cabin, scattered around and seemingly worthless, but Liu Yao had already discerned their true nature through the heavenly eye. With a gentle brush, the unassuming clumps revealed a hint of golden gleam. These were all gold. Roughly estimated, there were about 2 tons. Not bad, a good start, he said. Eager and fighting against the deep sea pressure, Liu Yao quickly opened the space-time bubble and stored the gold inside. At the same time, he suddenly discovered that such activity was even better for cultivation. So, while letting his divine soul continue to search with the heavenly eye, Liu Yao started practicing his punches against the immense sea pressure. This was the Liao family fist he had first learned in the other world, taught to him by Liaoya himself, which could be practiced up to the blood exchange realm. He hadn't practiced it since reaching the innate stage, but now in the 3,000 meters depth of the deep sea, revisiting the old knowledge had a refreshing feel to it. Meanwhile, the audience watching the live stream had mixed reactions. Is he cultivating using the deep sea pressure? Wasn't Yang Guo also cultivating in the sea? It's totally different, this is 3,000 meters under the sea. Haven't you seen him also excavating a sunken ship at the same time? That ship was soaked to the bone by the sea water, and it's dark and dreary in the deep sea, not much interesting to see. I wonder if there will be anything exciting later on. Ordinary people were just there for the excitement, but many experts in the military field were shocked by another fact. What filming equipment is he using? Xia Country claims this is their independently developed unmanned submarine. But I prefer to call it smart torpedo. Damn! Xia Country is already capable of applying this technology in actual combat. With this device, blocking a port wouldn't require mobilizing an entire fleet. Just a dozen compact smart torpedoes could prevent the enemy from daring to set sail from their harbor. Amidst the various comments, Liu Yao's divine soul, hovering above his head, flipped over in search and made another discovery. A very well-preserved submarine. It was just a little far away, over 100 kilometers to the north. Liu Yao didn't find it troublesome at all and took it as a rare opportunity for cultivation, striding forward against the huge sea pressure. At this depth, the water pressure was around 35,000 kilopascals, a normal person would have been crushed long ago. His current sensation was like an ordinary person climbing stairs with a gas canister. Each step felt heavier than the last. At the same time, his disincarnate divine soul was also very unstable, with ripples flashing across it now and then. The twin torment of body and soul was incredibly painful, it was a genuine test to his limits. A half-hour journey by normal standards, he took a full 4 hours to arrive. Here, 1,000 meters under the sea, the pressure was much less. The sight before him was spectacular, making Liu Yao exclaim that his trip was not in vain. A large submarine, 122 meters long, lay fallen upon the seafloor rocks. It was very well preserved, the hull undamaged, only the propeller at the stern was deformed and broken. The submarine had a peculiar design. There was a hangar on the main deck, which actually housed 3 airplanes with their wings folded. As he drew closer, he could vaguely make out letters obscured by the mud on the vessel's side. Liu Yao brushed it aside with his hand, and the infamous rising sun flag emblem was revealed. It indeed is a submarine sunk by the He Kingdom during World War II, he mused. With the thought, Liu Yao's divine soul entered first to inspect the situation. Seeing the scene inside, he first paused, and then his lips curled into an odd smile. How curious, I might as well go in and live stream this, to give everyone a chance to behold. By this time, the audience watching the live stream was already impatient, with a stream of comments appearing. This is a He Kingdom's I-400 submarine, with a displacement of 300 tons and equipped with 3 attack aircraft, known as the underwater aircraft carrier. A submarine that carries airplanes? That's so bizarre. This was He Kingdom's trump card back in the day, planned to be used to attack the Star Alliance country's homeland. There's no obvious external damage, it must have sunk due to its propulsion system being destroyed by a deep-sea bomb. The interior is likely very well preserved. Let Superman go in and take a look. Liu Yao would certainly not disappoint the viewers, and immediately entered the submarine through the 2-tiered hatch of the command tower. As the water in the isolation layer was drained, Liu Yao opened the door of the pressure-resistant compartment and witnessed the scene inside the submarine. It was a mess, riddled with cracked pipes and various debris, and the passageways were still slanted. Fortunately, it was mostly well preserved. Taking a deep breath, the air was full of chlorine, and the temperature was only about -7 or 8 degrees Celsius. Liu Yao wasn't down there by himself, he was carrying the unmanned submarine that served as the camera. Here, the submarine could only transmit static images, but it still allowed the viewers to see the submarine's dilapidated and chaotic interior. Continuing forward, astounding scenes gradually unraveled before the eyes of the world. First, Liu Yao came upon a locked chamber and tore the door open with his bare hands amid the grating noise. The air here was particularly murky, and there were several skeletons chained to the pipes. There were clear marks of blade cuts on their bones, with the empty eye sockets gazing in vain at the ceiling, and the surrounding metal pipes and deck were covered in struggle marks. A viewer asked in confusion, "What is this place? Why are they chained up here? Is this a prison cell?" The chat silenced for a while before someone replied. "Darling, this is no prison cell, it's the food storage room." Food storage room? My god! Cannibalism happened here. Realizing what had happened, the comments section exploded. When the submarine sank, the internal fixtures were mostly intact, only the propulsion system was damaged. This means that these He Kingdom soldiers were trapped alive in a steel cage at the bottom of the sea. Surrounded by the endless darkness and silence, how desperate they must have been. The ones who were eaten were even more desperate. There are clear struggle marks in the pictures, indicating that they watched helplessly as pieces of their flesh were cut off while they were still alive, and those who did it were likely their friends. "Stop, I'm going to be sick." Many viewers expressed that they couldn't handle it, but there was more shocking news to come. Liu Yao quickly moved on to the submarine's cargo hold, where there were many goods tightly wrapped in tarpaulins. Liu Yao lifted the tarp, and a dazzling golden light radiated out. It was indeed a mountain of gold. Pulling off the rest of the tarps revealed mountain after mountain of gold, amounting to hundreds of tons. And it wasn't just gold, beyond that, there were many of Xia country's precious cultural relics, including paintings, porcelain, and bronzeware, each of which could be considered a national treasure. It was clear that this submarine was transporting treasures looted from Xia country. Many Xia country netizens were already cursing the submarine as getting what it deserved. However, there were also some strange metal canisters in the cargo hold, shaped like gas cylinders, and it was unclear what they were used for. Many experts felt a chill in their hearts upon seeing these objects. Could this be? The answer was revealed swiftly. Liu Yao pressed on, encountering many more people chained up along the way. Without stopping, he arrived at the command cabin, where he found the submarine's navigation log and secret telegrams. He even found the captain. In the command cabin, there was a skeleton slumped over on a desk, and judging from the military rank on the uniform, it was indeed the captain, who had swallowed a bullet in a final act of despair. This was the only person on the entire submarine who wasn't chained up. Chapter 455, The Opportunity Has Come Again. The I-400 submarine was known as an underwater aircraft carrier, and this one had set out from Lushun port in Xia country. Filled with treasures, it simply took them along en route, but its primary purpose was to refuel with enough diesel to travel nearly 30,000 kilometers. Such a long voyage was for the purpose of carrying out the infamous PX operation. This operation aimed to launch an attack on the mainland of the Star Alliance country. At that time, the He Kingdom finished human experiments on innocent people from Xia country and some Western prisoners of war, developing terrible bacterial weapons. The PX operation was specifically to drop bacterial bombs on densely populated areas of the west coast of the Star Alliance country using this kind of underwater aircraft carrier that carried airplanes. Unfortunately, before its ambition could be fulfilled, it sank, and the metal canisters in the cargo hold contained the bacterial weapons that hadn't yet been used. At this moment, Liu Yao was next to the captain's skeleton, reading through secret documents and telegrams. After briefly filming this textual material, the live stream immediately exploded with curses. No one thought the soldiers on the ship were innocent any longer, and they all cursed, saying they got what they deserved. At the same time, Liu Yao pondered moving the whole submarine to shore. The He Kingdom denied the crimes they committed that year, and this submarine was the best evidence vault. Not to mention there were also many national treasures. So first, he took out the 100 tons of gold, then to the gasps and astonishments of countless people, he used willing power to strengthen his mind force, turning it 200 meters tall. Such a size, though lacking in agility, was not suitable for combat but was more than adequate for physical labor. One could see the 6 mighty arms of his mind force embracing the submarine, and with a slow exertion of force, it began to lift. Great, let mind force also get a bit of tempering. Liu Yao gave a simple command, and mind force immediately proceeded toward Zhenhai city in Dongshan province. At this point, the consumption of willing power was a genuine astronomical figure, that would make any spirit-refining expert from other world faint from heartache. But what Blue Star doesn't lack is precisely this, with billions of people around the globe providing an inexhaustible supply of willing power, allowing Liu Yao to use it as he wished. While mind force was doing the hard labor, Liu Yao cultivated his physical body on the side and charged Star Key, continuing to put the 100 tons of gold into a space-time bubble. Energy had been somewhat lacking due to having previously loaded too many things, but fortunately, after divine manifestation, the power of his divine soul surged like the Yangtze River, significantly speeding up the charging process. He went about things methodically, while all of Blue Star roiled with excitement. A 200-meter-tall mind force carried the submarine on its shoulders, striding forth on the seabed, an act which was easily detected by sonar, radar, and other instruments due to the earth-shaking commotion it caused. Some ships were startled by the sudden appearance of a huge head emerging from the sea surface. As shore drew ever nearer, the water grew too shallow to completely cover mind force. Its direction of advance and the estimated landing site were quickly calculated. At this moment, hundreds of thousands of people had gathered by the seaside, eagerly awaiting the arrival of mind force. The Xia country government dispatched staff to maintain order, and there were suggestions to disperse the civilians, but these were quickly vetoed by the higher-ups. It was clear that since Liu Yao was doing a live broadcast, he wanted to make a big splash, and they couldn't hinder him in any way and had to cooperate to the best of their ability. And happiest of all were the television stations and social media giants that had signed an agreement with Liu Yao. This time they truly hit the jackpot, earning a massive profit just from advertising revenue. Daily actives on platforms like Douyin and Bilibili jumped by 100-fold, with many new users registering from overseas. International social media giants like Facebook and Twitter were a step behind, forced to buy broadcast rights from Xia country businesses, missing the chance to seize the initiative. Although they also gained some benefits from this event, they didn't reap nearly as much as their Xia country counterparts. Amidst this tumult, the crowd at the seaside first noticed the waves were unusually tumultuous, then, they simultaneously felt a slight tremor in the ground. Intuitively, they held their breath and stared at the sea, and then, a 6-armed giant resembling a divine demon appeared, with 6 arms that resembled enormous pillars, still holding a submarine. Within an instant, countless devices aimed in that direction to start filming, and the flashes of light merged into one continuous blaze. There were also helicopters and drones in the sky filming, not missing any angle. At this moment, the mind force had no one controlling it, it simply followed a simple command. Amidst the cheering like a mountain roar and a tsunami, it expressionlessly placed the submarine on the highest open ground and then turned back to the sea without any hesitation. The Xia country officials, who were well prepared, immediately entered the scene. The military first cordoned off the wreck of the submarine, followed by biochemical weapons experts and cultural relics specialists, who entered to carry out their operations. Meanwhile, the armed police held loudspeakers and loudly maintained order, "Please do not get too close. Observe and take photos in an orderly manner." Everything at the scene was in perfect order. Fortunately, after decades, the bacterial weapons in the submarine had long lost their effectiveness, and the artifacts inside were relatively well preserved. They were carried out and transported away to the cheering crowd one after another. Many logs, letters, and telegrams from within the submarine were also systematically sorted and categorized, serving as solid evidence of the He Kingdom's war crimes. The entire Blue Star witnessed this event, making it impossible for the He Kingdom to deny these acts and erase the collective memory of billions of people. In the depths of the sea. After obtaining the 100 tons of gold, Liu Yao seemed to have used up all his good luck, as there were no more significant finds, only minor and inconsequential items. He did not mind and continued to focus on cultivation. Gold, cultivation, and wish power. His goal of hitting 3 birds with 1 stone was successfully achieved, and his gains were already substantial. As he continued to move through the sea, he gradually traveled from the East Sea to the Yellow Sea. It was at this moment that the heavenly eye of his divine soul suddenly detected, 200 kilometers to the north, many unique shipwrecks scattered around, rusted and eroded by the sea. Liu Yao recognized these wrecks and immediately had a thought after checking the location. These are the remnants of the Beiyang fleet from the Blue Star's First Sino-Japanese War. Zaiwan, Jingyuan, Chaoyang, Yang. He had participated in wars in the other world, but was powerless to affect the outcome of this war on Blue Star. Well, since I need to cultivate anyway, I might as well bring them up to see the light of day again. Liu Yao immediately ordered the halfway mind force to turn north, and he himself carried the ocean's pressure as he took steps to converge with it. After the First Sino-Japanese War, many wrecks of the Beiyang fleet's warships were salvaged and dismantled by the He Kingdom, displayed as war trophies at the Yasukuni Shrine and in schools and parks. But the main body of the warships was too difficult to retrieve and remained in place. After arriving, Liu Yao first bowed to these shipwrecks, paying tribute to their bravery. These men indeed had reached their limits. Most of the officers had died in battle or committed suicide for their country, and lower-ranking soldiers even locked themselves in burning cabins, a display of valor. The water was only 100 meters deep here, reaching only to the waist of the mind force. Liu Yao controlled the mind force to gather the shipwrecks together, carrying them with all 6 arms towards the direction of Liaoning province. Several drones were filming from the sky above, but he did not pay much attention to them. He was doing this only for peace of mind. What he did not expect was that the sight caused countless Xia country people to immediately recall the heroic pledge to sink with the enemy ships. And connecting this to the malicious actions of the He Kingdom submarine, a historic surge of wish power erupted. Liu Yao, who was halfway there, immediately realized something was wrong. At this moment, the wish power, manifesting tangibly, even made the 1,000-ton shipwrecks float in the air. Indeed, good deeds are rewarded. A magical treasure is about to be born. My opportunity has arrived. Liu Yao quickly unified with the mind force, raising all 6 arms high towards the sky, becoming a medium to channel the wish power. The shipwrecks were infused with tsunami-like wish power, and their rust visibly receded at a noticeable pace. Warship-type magical treasures. Chapter 456, Creation Immortal Boat. At this moment, Xia country's internet was in an uproar. It's the wreckage of the Zaiwan ship. I've seen it in the Science Museum. The Jingyuan ship has been salvaged too. And there's a bigger one, it's Dingyuan. Not a single one retreated in the face of annihilation, such a pity for these people. Xia country had begun exploring the remnants of these battleships many years ago, even launching a 1:1 replica of the Zaiwan ship. The heroism of the Battle of the Yellow Sea was known to billions of citizens, and over a century of admiration had built up an excellent foundation. Seeing Liu Yao continuously salvage the shipwrecks, the people of Xia country were even more exhilarated, with the wishes of billions of compatriots rolling in like a tide. These were highly concentrated positive willpowers, filled with reverence for the fallen heroes. Only to see the mind force with its 6 arms raised high, palms facing the sky, transforming into a medium that bridged 2 worlds, guiding the willpower. The shipwrecks were enveloped by the willpower, suspending in the air, shedding their stains at a visible rate to shine like new. At the same time, Liu Yao could clearly sense the metal was merging with this unique mental fluctuation of willpower, transforming into a substance that existed between reality and illusion. Previously, when several magical treasures were born, his cultivation wasn't enough to witness this miraculous moment. Through this long 3-day deep-sea cultivation, Liu Yao's divine soul had made significant progress, finally allowing him to clearly observe the birth of a magical treasure. As time ticked away second by second, with the continued infusion of willpower, the glowing remnants slowly assembled together, gradually taking the shape of a ship. This ship was indeed colossal, measuring 400 meters in length and 60 meters in width, larger in size than an aircraft carrier. At this moment, the people of Blue Star, looking at this gigantic object in the sky like a mirage, couldn't help but exclaim. This glowing thing, are the immortals forging a treasure boat? Judging by the shape, it seems to be the case. The pieces from the ocean floor turning into magical treasures, it's really magical. Moreover, countless drones equipped with the most advanced detection technology were circling around, observing from a distance. The world's top scientists were fully prepared, attempting to understand the principles behind the magical treasures. Transforming such a large structure into a magical treasure was definitely not an easy task. Next, Liu Yao, wielding his 6 arms, guided for an entire day and night, and the colossal ship suspended in the void became increasingly solid, shimmering with opalescent colors around it. At first, Liu Yao was ecstatic. Good deeds do pay off, to obtain such a powerful magical treasure out of nowhere. But soon, he couldn't smile anymore. The magical treasure was simply too large, even larger than an aircraft carrier, and compared to other magical treasures, it was like comparing a watermelon to a sesame seed. It inevitably had terrifying demands. As it devoured everything in sight, the tide of wishes in the sky gradually thinned, and the wishes of over 1 billion people were on the brink of being exhausted. And the magical treasure only had a basic shape, the process of its birth was just beginning. Seeing this, Liu Yao made a decisive move, retracted the mind force, summoned the willpower golden dragon, and started heading towards the capital of Xia country with the half-finished magical treasure. To birth a magical treasure, the mental waves contained in the willpower had to be extremely intense. At this moment, of course, it was necessary to harness the spirited and progressive Yanhuang willpower. At this time, Liu Yao was in the Yellow Sea, 500 kilometers away from Imperial City in a straight line. Even with a huge encumbrance, the Golden Dragon could reach within an hour. Liu Yao also made a phone call to notify the officials of Xia country. On the way, he encountered many residents who had come specially to see the immortal, as well as numerous drones filming. Countless people cheered and jumped on the ground looking at Liu Yao, who waved back amiably all around without slowing down, making haste to Canal Forest Park in the eastern suburbs of the capital. He didn't have time to attend to anything else and quickly guided the Yanhuang willpower to descend from the heavens. Bathed in the spirited and advancing Yanhuang willpower, the body of the creation immortal boat immediately gained a faint golden glow, and it even grew slightly larger. The entire ship seemed to be as invigorated as a fish in water, full of spirit and vitality. Seeing that it worked, Liu Yao breathed a sigh of relief and devoted himself to guiding the flow of willpower. The surprising appetite of the creation immortal boat became apparent, devouring voraciously. The Yanhuang willpower, which had seemed inexhaustible, began to visibly diminish. But this was the accumulation of thousands of years of civilization, it was already at its limit to be consumed to this extent. Under the cost no object infusion of Yanhuang willpower, the creation immortal boat grew increasingly bright, and then suddenly burst forth with light, as if there were an additional mini-sun in the sky. High-intensity electronic pulses shot out, disabling all electronic devices within a 10-kilometer radius, and the live stream went dark immediately. The audience was instantly filled with anxiety, but fortunately, this condition lasted only about 10 seconds before other drones quickly took over, allowing everyone to see clearly what was happening at the scene. The brilliance gradually subsided, and a massive ship, sparkling with the colors of glaze, appeared in the sky. It resembled a battleship overall, but the bow had a dragon-shaped ram, and the bridge and bulwarks were embellished with flying eaves and upturned corners, full of the ancient style of Xia country. Plus, the ship's body shimmered with a phosphorescent glow like glaze, making the entire vessel resemble a legendary ferry boat. Liu Yao's face showed clear signs of fatigue, but his spirits were high and he jumped onto the ship with great enthusiasm. What a colossal ship, this magical treasure truly is massive. He felt as though he was standing on the deck of an aircraft carrier, and this was only the magical treasure in its infancy, it would grow even larger as it was further consecrated. Gently touching the unique material that seemed like gold but wasn't, Liu Yao smiled broadly, from now on, you'll be called Creation Immortal Boat. As soon as he finished speaking, Liu Yao had a thought. The giant ship slowly floated up, akin to a space-bound aircraft carrier taking flight, suddenly leaping through the clouds to reach an altitude of 10,000 meters. It could cruise over the water surface and also fly through the sky. Under the watchful eyes of the world, another uproar ensued. Is this a floating battleship? Or is it the creation boat? This is just too unscientific, such a large ship floating in the sky. I need to practice the cultivation technique the immortal uploaded once more, maybe then I'll achieve enlightenment and become an immortal myself. While the outside world was full of amazement and envy, Liu Yao was testing the capabilities of his new magical treasure. The creation immortal boat stretched across the sky, nimbly changing direction, then suddenly accelerating. Throughout this, it constantly adjusted its flying posture to perform various maneuvers, and its speed kept changing. After freely navigating it for a while, Liu Yao had a clear idea in mind. It was incredibly energy-consuming. By looking at its size, one could tell that whether it was to be activated or for subsequent consecrations, the consumption would inevitably be terrifying. The mind force of the divine manifestation realm cannot maneuver the creation immortal boat, and it can only be mobilized by willpower, unable to unleash the full power of the magical treasure. Its speed is only 300 km per hour. Liu Yao's excitement tempered somewhat. The creation immortal boat was too unique and too powerful, far beyond his control. In that moment, Liu Yao had a thought, and the ram of the creation immortal boat in front suddenly lit up, gathering a ball of light directly ahead. But before anything could happen, the ball of light abruptly dispersed. This was the magical treasure's attack capability, limited by a realm not high enough to be utilized. Chapter 457, Li Pei's Technique of Observing Beauty. The consumption of the creation immortal boat was terrifyingly immense, and it could only be freely activated on Blue Star, which had an inexhaustible supply of the Tide of Wishes. Now that the dust had settled, Liu Yao stretched out his hand and beckoned, and the fairy boat immediately shrank. Other magical treasures could shrink to the size of a matchstick and later enter the divine soul through the facial orifices to be nurtured. However, the creation immortal boat could only shrink to the size of a tablet, resembling an exceptionally delicate and beautiful model. After playing with it in his hand for a while, Liu Yao's divine soul traveled out of the body to store it away. At this moment, everyone on Blue Star was discussing his newly acquired creation immortal boat, marveling at its magic and strength. Liu Yao's heart moved, and he opened his heavenly eye to look up. Thanks to the live stream, the positive components of the Tide of Wishes in the sky now made up more than 70%. Add to that the 100 tons of gold in the space-time bubble, along with the tremendous benefits gained for both the body and the divine soul, all the goals for his return home were exceeded. Liu Yao was very satisfied, feeling it was also time to leave as there were many more things to do in the other world. Before leaving, he checked his phone and saw a dozen bank deposit notifications. His savings now had 12 digits, and the number was still growing. The clicks and likes from the live stream generated revenue, plus the split from advertising and the operation of broadcasting rights would continue to come in. I could now become the world's richest man just from live streaming. Interesting, transcendent power can be turned into wealth and power in any world, he mused aloud, as Liu Yao opened the light gate and returned to Mount Wuodang. The autumn sun casts its scattered rays on red hills among green mountains, like myriads of coral trees within a glassy sea. The most beautiful time of year on Wuodang Mount had quietly arrived. An autumn rain, a gust of autumn wind, the lush Wuodang was gradually shedding layers of green, as golden yellow and fiery red crept and spread. It was indeed picturesque, a breathtaking scene. The Liu family lived on Tianzhou Peak, where the buildings were designed according to imperial standards. Red walls and green tiles were resplendent, and pavilions shimmered with a hint of gold and silver, a fairyland of jade palaces tinged with a dignity. To prevent disturbances to their honored guests, the Wuodang sect arranged for elite disciples to guard the foot of the mountain. Because there were female family members, Bai Liu was tasked with this responsibility. At this moment, this young and beautiful female Taoist priest was reluctantly listening to her master's nagging. Luer, I know you've always wanted to find a partner to share double blessings and double sorrows, but it's an extremely difficult undertaking, said Zhang Yunshu as he stroked his beard and lectured. Just look at your fellow junior brothers in the blood exchange realm, which one of them doesn't have multiple wives? Lord Liu only has 3 wives and certainly qualifies as devoted to the martial path without coveting beauty. If you marry him, not only will you find a place to belong, but our 2 families will also become even closer, a perfect solution to both concerns, he insisted. Bai Liu pretended to blush and looked away, while internally rolling her eyes. Her master had mentioned this countless times, but having seen Liu Yao's selective criteria for companions and also experiencing the Empress Dowager's similar taste, she had developed a significant mental shadow on the matter. Zhang Yunshu, seeing his disciple still seemed to not understand, did not press the issue further and sighed before walking away. Just as Bai Lu breathed a sigh of relief, suddenly 3 beautiful figures came into view from afar. It was Li Pei and the Liao family sisters returning from their stroll. 3 stunning women walked side by side, each with a joyful and radiant smile on their faces. Their fair and tender skin shone even more exquisitely under the sunlight, and even the loose clothing could not conceal their alluring figures, sending one's imagination running wild. "We're in luck today, we even found a 7-leaved Paris. It'll be so comfortable to soak in the hot spring with it later," Li Pei said, holding a herb and chatting cheerfully with the Liao family sisters, nodding friendly at Bai Lu when they saw her. Bai Lu looked at these 3 female grandmasters and felt a flood of emotions. It was rumored in Jianghu that Lord Lu would massage and guide his wives in their cultivation daily, which is why they were able to break through to the innate realm in such a short period of time. Countless people were filled with envy, but Bai Lu knew that Liu Yao was even more generous than the rumors suggested, going as far as to let them eat the life creation pill. Thinking of her master's suggestion, Bai Lu was slightly tempted, but then images of the Empress Dowager and Liu Yao merged in her mind and the thought quickly disappeared. Li Pei was also feeling reflective at the moment. If life had followed its normal course, she would have treated a core Wudang inheritor like Bai Lu with respect, not reduced to acting like a gatekeeper as she was now. Shaking her head to dispel these thoughts, she prepared to take a bath with the Liao family sisters. Mount Tianzhao had a natural hot spring, which was exceptionally refreshing and comfortable to soak in. The 3 women, along with Blue Star's variety of snacks and the newly brewed golden neck dew, arrived at the hot spring to find that someone had already arrived early, none other than Yu Yanmei. "Master, you're here too, perfect, let's soak together." Li Pei stripped off her clothes and dived into the steaming pool, grabbed her master's arm, and said cheerfully. Liaoya had a stroke of inspiration and soaked the jade pendant in the new batch of golden neck dew, and it turned out to be a jar of immortal brew, which we'll enjoy while soaking. "I must try it then," said Yu Yanmei, intrigued, knowing that the higher a martial artist's realm, the more elusive true intoxication. Liaoya and Liao Qi also shed their clothes and entered the hot spring, placing an array of snacks and the star of the day. Golden Stem Immortal Brew. On an inflatable tray. That was the name the girls had just come up with. "Grandmaster Yu, please." Liaoya had always admired Yu Yanmei and was her little fan, she quickly filled a cup for her first. As soon as the Golden Stem Immortal Brew touched the air, it instantly suppressed the sulfur smell of the hot springs, and its rich fragrance filled the noses of all the women. Yu Yanmei's appetite was whetted, and lifting her snow-white, slender neck, she drank the entire cup in one gulp. What a fine drink! She felt a warm stream flow down her throat into her stomach and then spread to her limbs and bones, warming her up so much that she no longer felt the heat from the hot spring. Li Pei and the 2 other women filled their own cups and drank, sighing contentedly. "This is the life, I wouldn't exchange it for immortality." At that moment, among the misty steam of the hot spring, 4 fairy-like figures sat with flushed faces and white, smooth bodies, an intoxicating vision of loveliness. Who would have thought the jade pendant had such magic? Big Liao sister should take the credit. It was just a curious experiment during the brewing process. Li Pei and Liaoye, 2 especially voluptuous beauties, toasted each other and drank victoriously, then poured another round. Yu Yanmei and Liao Qi joined in the drinking as well. As they drank one cup after another, the Golden Stem Immortal Brew caused even these 4 grandmasters to feel a rare sense of intoxication, and the subsequent conversation turned bolder. Li Pei, giggling, hooked her arm around Liao Ye's shoulder and said, "There's a book among those presented by the joyful sect called The Art of Charming Beauty, have you read it?" Liao Ye spat disdainfully, "That's just the joyful sect's technique of observing beauty, utterly indecent, why bother with it? It's quite interesting though, it claims that by observing the traits visible on a woman's body, one can infer the secrets of her private parts." Li Pei looked Liao Ye up and down with a triumphant expression and said, "Big Liao sister, you're obviously a ravishing beauty." Then she turned to Liao Qi with a smile and commented, "Little Liao sister isn't bad either, you could suck a man's soul away." Li Pei was about to tease Yu Yanmei, too, buoyed by the alcohol, but then she frowned deeply. "I think I haven't fully learned it. Master, why aren't you a virgin?" Chapter 458, The Smell Dissipates. The technique of observing beauty of the joyful sect was not originally intended to search for the most exceptional beauties, but to find disciples with outstanding talent to ensure the inheritance of the sect. This secret method could deduce the physical condition and root bone aptitude of a woman from her exposed facial features, hair, fingers, and even a mole on her face. Every major sect had similar methods for selecting worthy heirs. Hence, it is said that there is no intrinsic good or evil in cultivation techniques, it all depends on how they are used. At this moment, as everyone was undressed in the hot spring, Li Pei, with a curious mind, tried to verify her learning with a few beauties. When observing the Liao family sisters, she marveled at how accurate the secret method was, pinpoint accurate. But when she saw her own master, Li Pei started to doubt if she hadn't fully mastered the technique, as her observation seemed off. The area between the eyebrows is relaxed, and the Sol Liao A cup ointment at the tip of the nose is smoothly connected to the Huian A cup ointment. This is a characteristic of a married woman. But that's impossible, master has always been chaste and has never been with a man. Emboldened by the alcohol, Li Pei daringly reached out to touch Yu Yanmei. No matter the method, relying solely on sight would not yield 100% accurate information, one had to personally handle the matter to be sure. However, in an instant, everyone's view blurred, and by the time they came to their senses, Yu Yanmei had already grabbed Li Pei's neck and subdued her like a kitten. She remained calm, drained her cup of immortal brew, and said, "You are getting more and more disrespectful." Liaoya and Liao Qi each said with a cheeky grin. "You haven't used this secret method to look at yourself, have you? Right, you are also a top-notch favorite of the joyful sect." No longer feeling inferior, Li Pei was now even proud. "Would my lord favor it?" Ouch! Before she could finish her sentence, Yu Yanmei raised her hand and smack, spanked Li Pei's white and rounded buttocks fiercely 3 times, leaving 3 bright red handprints. "For your lack of shame. For your disrespect towards your elders and superiors. I dare not, stop hitting." Li Pei quickly begged for mercy, and Liao Yu refilled Yu Yanmei's cup with immortal brew to stabilize the situation. The group of women once again drank their cups in one go, and the 10-jin jar of wine was already more than half empty unknowingly. "It's been a while since I've felt this dizzy sensation." Liao Qi leisurely leaned against the edge of the pool, her clear apricot eyes veiled with a layer of mist. "I wonder when Liu Yao will return, I want him to taste this golden stem immortal brew too." Li Pei, her cheeks flushed and toying with an empty wine cup, giggled, "It's barely been a week, and you miss your lord already." Liao Qi slightly shyly nodded, "I miss him every day I don't see him, wishing I could be by his side all the time." Seeing the girl's frankness, Li Pei didn't feel like teasing her any longer and splashed herself with a handful of hot spring water. "Now that you mention it, I'm starting to miss him too, why has he been gone for so long?" The hot spring water flowed down her snow-white and delicate skin. "However, when he comes back, we have to work together to drain him dry, so he doesn't get too many ideas." Hearing this, Liao Yu covered Li Pei's mouth. "Grandmaster Yu is still here, what nonsense are you talking about?" Liao Qi burst into laughter, her body shaking like a flower in the breeze. "Sister Li Pei, you always said that you didn't mind men having multiple wives and concubines, but now you are keeping such a tight watch on Liu Yao, fearing the addition of another sister." Li Pei laughed at herself and poured herself another full cup. "I was foolish back then. Now I really want to tear off my own tongue. I absolutely don't want to share Liu Yao with anyone else." Following that, she raised her glass in a toast to the Liao family sisters, of course, excluding you two. "As sisters united, let's keep a tight watch on this delectable hunk of a man." Liao Ya and Liao Qi didn't wish for another to join the competition either, and with faces full of fighting spirit, they clinked their glasses together. Yu Yanmei, seeing this scene, felt extremely embarrassed. Her face struggled to maintain composure as she forced herself not to lose her cool and stood up, saying, "Immortal brew is good, but don't drink too much of it. I'm going out for some fresh air, you all enjoy your soak." Having said that, she got up from the hot spring, and in the blink of an eye, her true chi whisked the water away, leaving her dry. She then rustled into her clothes and, swaying her elegant form, left. Liao Qi watched Yu Yanmei's retreating figure for a while and said unintentionally, "After the trip to Emperor Qin's underground palace, Grandmaster Yu seems to have developed more of a woman's charm." The speaker meant no harm, but the listener took profound interest. The proverbial light bulb went off in Li Pei's mind. Drawing on her own wit and the powerful memory granted by her state of composure, she quickly connected all the loose ends and the oddities about Yu Yanmei and Liu Yao. "The change in my master's body, the spiritual sparrowhawk's sudden acceptance of her, the strange atmosphere between them lately, could something have happened in the underground palace? That's right, the battlefield was enveloped in the pink desire force of the underlings of the joyful Bodhisattva, which had a strong aphrodisiac effect. As her thoughts raced, Li Pei's expression became more and more grave. What's wrong? At this moment, Liaoya waved her hand in front of Li Pei's face, interrupting her train of thought. Li Pei chuckled and shook her head lightly. It's nothing, I might be overthinking it. Let's keep drinking. On the surface, she seemed fine, but in her heart, a thorn had taken root. After leaving the hot spring, Yu Yanmei didn't know if it was the alcohol or embarrassment, but she felt her face burning hot. Looking up at the 3 spiritual sparrowhawks in the sky, she waved her arms frantically, wanting to fly up and catch a breeze. But none of them came down, and just as she was starting to wonder, Ping'an, the one she had interacted with the most, skillfully rode the air currents and landed gracefully. Yu Yanmei affectionately reached for its neck, but after sniffing her a couple of times, Ping'an abruptly retreated, clearly rejecting her approach. Then, with a flapping of wings amidst a whirl of dust and stones, Ping'an returned to the sky. Yu Yanmei stood frozen, instantly realizing the reason. Even the most potent smells fade with time. It had been nearly 20 days since her last intimate contact, the scent of Liu Yao on her was now almost gone, hence the sparrowhawk's disinterest in attending to her. Just as Yu Yanmei started feeling miffed, a silhouette she had been actively avoiding appeared at the foot of the mountain. It was Liu Yao returning. Yu Yanmei immediately wanted to turn and leave, but for some reason, her feet hesitated for a moment, and by the time she made up her mind, she had already clearly seen him. Her expression changed, and instead of avoiding him, she moved closer. You've opened the Tanzong A cup ointment? How daring of you! How could you do something like this by yourself? As she spoke, Yu Yanmei's hand laid on Liu Yao, her true qi probing to check that he was fine, and she only relaxed after confirming there was no issue. In the advanced stages of the martial path, each breakthrough must be handled with care, not just for one's life, but also to avoid severe residual effects that could impede future progress. Seeing that there was no one else around, Liu Yao wrapped his hands around her slender, tense waist and said with a bashful face. Grandmaster Yu, I've had a bit of an insight and am filled with doubts, I hope you won't begrudge your teaching. Allow me to properly contemplate the no-leak state of the body. Yu Yanmei pushed back against the rascal intending to fend him off, but as soon as he touched her, she went limp, devoid of any strength. And it seemed to be a legitimate reason, cultivation concerned life and death, and she couldn't refuse. Chapter 459, The 3 Rules of Discipline. Yu Yanmei preferred tranquility, so her residence was perched on the edge of a cliff on the north side of Tianzhao Peak, a rather secluded spot. Liu Yao, embracing her, headed in that direction, ostensibly seeking instruction, but what he really intended was obvious. Yu Yanmei had been in a daze, but the thought of Li Pei and the Liao family sisters brought on a surge of embarrassment. Biting the tip of her tongue, she regained a hint of clarity and her soft body gained some strength. With a sudden push, she shoved Liu Yao away. You rascal, what do you think you're doing? Believe it or not, I'll leave a few transparent holes in you. Grandmaster Yu, I am sincerely seeking instruction, Liu Yao said with a face full of earnestness. The cultivation of the higher realms of the martial path is very dangerous without guidance, and it absolutely cannot be achieved otherwise. Yu Yanmei cursed inwardly, feeling as if she owed him in a past life, and then she took a deep breath and said. Then keep your hands to yourself and stay 3 feet away from me. I will teach you on my own accord. Liu Yao nodded repeatedly, you call the shots. It was already evening, and the two walked through the woods. The autumn leaves, in various colors, were gloriously beautiful under the glow of the sunset. Yu Yanmei kept a vigilant eye on someone as she began explaining. Humans are born with 720 aperture points that connect all parts of the body. By the innate realm, they have all been opened, but in the Jinwala realm, the goal is to close them. Opening and closing bring all aperture points under control. At that point, the flesh becomes its own realm, the aperture points transform into stars, possessing incredible might. Watch closely. Yu Yanmei rolled up her sleeves to reveal her snowy, crystalline arms, still wearing the ice jade bracelet. Her skin and the beautiful jade complemented each other, and Liu Yao clearly sensed. The 11 aperture points of the lung meridian of Han Taiyan on the beauty's arm shook like stars in the sky, emitting an indiscernible and peculiar rhythm. Immediately after, a vast amount of innate true qi surged forth, wrapping Yu Yanmei's arm in a visible whirl of qi. The essence of the Jinwala realm is to train the apertures, endowing the martial artist's body with the power of the aperture points, unleashing unbelievable might. No sooner had she spoken than Yu Yanmei raised her hand and struck a car-sized boulder beside her. A thunderous boom echoed as the moss-covered giant rock instantly shattered into pieces. Liu Yao praised, "Impressive. Such power with just a casual strike, truly befitting the flesh realm." Yu Yanmei extended her arm towards him, saying, "Remember the rhythm of the aperture points well, it's the basis for unleashing their power. Your task now is to control the opening and closing of the 720 aperture points throughout your body at will. When you achieve that, you will reach the Jinwala realm." Having gently touched her snowy, tender arm twice, Liu Yao said with a sheepish expression, "Just touching the arm isn't insightful enough. Maybe we should go to the room too. Liu Zizi, don't let your mind be filled with filth. Focus and experience the rhythm of the aperture points." Yu Yanmei's arm, swirling with qi, threatened fiercely. "If you dare to take liberties with me again, I'll give you a taste. Let you experience the might of the flesh realm." Liu Yao was not scared at all. If she really wanted to hit him, he would have already become a shooting star in the sky. There wouldn't have been a chance for him to make any advances. Besides, he had discovered a weakness of Yu Yanmei. Liu Yao's hand suddenly moved down to her waist and with a slight exertion of force, Yu Yanmei instantly lost strength, becoming soft again. "You pest, let go." Grandmaster Yu's waist was particularly sensitive, and even a light touch would leave her like this. Of course, this effect only occurred when it was someone she wasn't willing to resist. At this moment, Liu Yao could easily take advantage, but his spirit refinement sense clearly detected a reluctance in her eyes, as if she had some concerns. Yu Yanmei's concerns were Li Pei, the Liao family sisters, and the eyes of the world. These worldly shackles prevented her from acknowledging her inner desires and feelings, leaving her extremely conflicted. Seeing the Moon Fairy appear to be in a fierce internal conflict and trembling, Liu Yao quickly let go and asked with concern, "What's wrong? Your true qi is clashing wildly within." Yu Yanmei hurriedly calmed her mind and evened out her true qi, while giving Liu Yao a disgruntled glare. "It's all your fault. It's getting late, don't bother me anymore. Go back and cultivate properly according to what I've taught you." Having said that, she prepared to leave. "Don't rush, there's another matter," Liu Yao said hastily as he took out the divine sword Tai, smiling. "I've refined your magical treasure for you, with it you can even slay those in the golden body realm." Yu Yanmei took the divine sword, but she only drew it an inch before quickly sheathing it again. Tai did not shy away from flaunting its divine glow, even a mere inch exposed was enough to radiate dazzling cold light, illuminating half the mountain. Had she drawn it completely, probably the entire Mount Wudang would have seen it. Her gaze upon Liu Yao was complex. By the Song dynasty, magical treasures had already become extinct, and even the Wudang sect had only one magic artifact. The value of the divine sword Tai was beyond words. A normal person, having obtained it, would surely keep it with utmost caution, not allowing others even a glance. But this precious thing, the lad just gave it away, and even helped her refine it. Yu Yanmei gently touched the divine sword, then the ice jade bracelet on her wrist, and thought about the daily 10 complete immortal pills she'd been openly consuming, plus the 3,000 taels of gold and so on. Before she knew it, she had already received so many benefits from him. For a moment, she found herself at a loss for words. At this time, seeing that Yu Yanmei was also fine, Liu Yao spoke up. "If you're feeling unwell, rest early. I'm heading back now. But eventually, I'm going to devour you." Having said that, he turned to leave. Yu Yanmei hung the divine sword at her waist, let out a sigh, and thought, "Never mind, since I've already given myself to him, why should I play hard to get?" By then, Liu Yao had already walked a distance of over 10 meters, but suddenly he heard the Moon Fairy calling out to him. "Wait a minute." Yu Yanmei, with her head bowed low, softly said. "The Tenzong point you opened first is a deadly spot on the human body, too perilous. Follow me, and watch carefully." "You mean?" Liu Yao was somewhat incredulous upon hearing this. The Tenzong point was on the chest. This observation was clearly a discreet invitation. Happiness had come so swiftly that it left him somewhat stunned. Yu Yanmei took the lead, glancing back with a shy expression, "Are you coming or not?" "Yes, Yes, yes of course. Liu Yao hurriedly followed gleefully. The autumn wind stirred up the branches and the leaves rustled. Two people, hearts pounding with excitement, entered the room. With her eyes closed, Yu Yanmei spoke in a voice as faint as a mosquito's buzz, I called you here to instruct you in the martial path. Liu Yao, from behind, embraced the beauty he had long desired and took a deep sniff, it won't interfere, we can do both at the same time. As he spoke, his hands became restless. Liu Zizi, wait a second, we need to set down some ground rules. Yu Yanmei pressed down on Liu Yao's hand, turned her head to meet his gaze, and said earnestly. First, I will only be intimate with you once a month, second, this must be kept strictly confidential and must not be leaked, finally, you must remember. I am not your woman. We are, lovers. I agree to all of it. Liu Yao agreed readily, and Yu Yanmei's last defenses were gone, she melted softly into him. The pent-up desire of his powerful body, amassed over many years, erupted like a volcano, and the two were tightly entwined together. Meanwhile, Li Pei and the Liao family sisters, who were soaking in the hot springs, faintly heard the sound of Yu Yanmei's palm strike on the rocks from before. Is Grandmaster Yu practicing? As the noise was brief and then there was silence, the Liao family sisters did not pay it much mind. Li Pei, who knew the most, connected all the information at lightning speed with divine sense perception, and an internal alert went off. Without drawing attention, she stretched casually and said, I've had a bit too much to drink, I'll go rest first, you enjoy your bath. Afterward, she used her true qi to dry off, got dressed, and headed toward her master's residence. Chapter 460, Guard against all, but the thief within the family is hardest to defend against. Li Pei's expression was stern as she raced rapidly through the mountains. The technique she utilized was peculiar, the air she broke through would spin and cancel itself out, allowing her to move at remarkable speeds without a trace of sound. This was a movement technique from the joyful sect's great joy in the dance of heavenly demons. The divine skills were infinitely marvelous, seemingly tailor-made for women. Several sisters including Yu Yanmei made huge gains after practicing it. At the same time, Li Pei also melded her spirit with the world according to the secret methods of the heavenly demon dance, diluting and dissolving her presence to avoid detection. If she was overthinking things, she could also leave quietly. However, she quickly realized her guess was not wrong. The cries of a woman, as though lamenting yet exulting, could be heard from afar. The voice was filled with the liberating joy of ultimate relief, bursting with heartfelt delight. Li Pei approached more closely, her face cold, listening to the people inside talk. Liu Zizi, close your eyes, don't look at me. Why? Your eyes are full of mockery, you must be laughing at me. Not at all, I'm admiring you. The voices in conversation belonged to the two most important people in Li Pei's life, she understood everything in an instant. She restrained herself from losing her composure and peered through the window to see two familiar figures, it was indeed Liu Yao and Yu Yanmei. Liu Yao was shirtless with his back turned, his expression unclear. Whereas Yu Yanmei had a face of feigned anger mixed with joy, her shyness boundless, her eyes and brows brimming with the signs of spring. For the first time in her life, Li Pei saw her master with such an expression. The once aloof moon fairy no longer existed, all that was left was a delicate and beautiful woman. She seemed a bit dazed, her gem-like eyes misty, as if they were about to drip tears. Witnessing this scene with her own eyes, Li Pei clutched her chest and cried out in pain, you can guard against the unforeseen, but it's hard to guard against a traitor within. Immersed in the blissful moment, the couple inside only then noticed someone had approached. Besides Li Pei using secret methods, her lack of hostility was also a key reason. Yu Yanmei turned pale and exclaimed, Pai Pei, how did you come here? I. As she spoke, she used scattered clothing to cover her body. Caught in the fervor of their passionate encounter, pieces of clothing they hadn't managed to remove in time still clung to their bodies. Yu Yanmei even had her shoes on, which didn't seem that inappropriate. But with her legs hoisted over shoulders, what good would that do? Li Pei bowed her head, her tears on the brink of falling. The Liao family sisters were simple-minded and too shy to manage Liu Yao, if it were not for Li Pei's strict vigilance, their home would have long been filled with concubines. She had labored to maintain order for so long, only to find herself betrayed by the person she trusted most. In truth, she was not opposed to her husband taking Yu Yanmei, it was the backstabbing by those she trusted most that had her feeling very unhappy. At this moment, Yu Yanmei didn't know what to say and could only cover her face with her clothes, playing the ostrich. Liu Yao was about to shamelessly say something when Li Pei had already entered the room. She first carefully removed Yu Yanmei's shoes from Liu Yao's shoulders and gently placed them on the ground. Then she pinched Liu Yao's waist fiercely and glared at him indignantly. After doing all this, Li Pei turned and walked out of the room, considerately closing the door and windows behind her. The room fell quiet. After a long while, Yu Yanmei dropped the clothing from her face. Her face was so red it reached her neck, it was hot enough to fry an egg. What does Pai Pei mean by this? Liu Yao rubbed the pinched area on his waist and said, her helping you take off your shoes means she consents to our relationship, but she still harbors resentment. Don't worry, I have ways to coax her. You're still talking. I'm so ashamed I can't face anyone. Yu Yanmei pushed at Liu Yao, get up quickly, I have to leave and never come back. No, 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 Liu Yao couldn't let her leave, I'm about to embark on a great venture and need your help. You're the person I trust the most. Yu Yanmei turned her head away and stopped struggling. Liu Yao bent down and kissed her, saying, what's done is done, let's enjoy the present. Yu Yanmei seized the opportunity to bite hard on his shoulder, drawing blood. Early the next morning, Yu Yanmei still got up at dawn to practice her breathing exercises. Being at the flesh realm, even after a busy night, she showed no signs of fatigue or discomfort, feeling refreshed and full of energy. Her mind in particular was clear and bright, like a dusty pearl polished anew, and her spirit-refining stage cultivation had risen dramatically. Blocking is indeed not as good as releasing. Suppressing it all the time is not the best strategy. Yu Yanmei looked at her even more translucent skin with mixed feelings. Then, she waved toward the sky. Pingan immediately swooped down and landed beside her. The superpower to summon the spiritual sparrowhawk had returned. Yu Yanmei performed the art of the Dragon Slayer manual, meticulously massaging Pingan, Ji Xiang, and Ru Yi in turn. The true qi of the Jinwala realm was exceptionally rich, and the three sparrowhawks closed their eyes in supreme comfort, their feathers becoming even glossier. After a while, the Lu family got up as well. Li Pei came from afar, and just as Yu Yanmei was about to stand up and say something, the two shared a bond that was incredibly close, akin to that of master and apprentice, mother and daughter, and sisters. But Li Pei turned her head and walked away, showing no desire to interact. It was the same at breakfast, Li Pei didn't even glance at her master. Usually, she sat next to Yu Yanmei to eat, but this time she settled next to Liao Ye. The atmosphere at the table was quite strange, the Liao family sisters were completely puzzled, but thankfully, the delicious food alleviated much of the tension. The main dish was a plate of purple dragon, which was scarce and looked like pickled vegetable strips. However, it was made from the blood, not the flesh, of 1,000 eels, an extremely laborious and famous medicinal meal known far and wide for its restorative properties. Yu Yanmei stood up to serve Li Pei a chopstick full, but Li Pei showed no reaction and just kept on eating silently. Liu Yao smiled and said, the Wudang sect has put in effort, but it's time for us to leave. Let's say goodbye to sect leader Zhang and Daoist Zhou after breakfast. The sisters had no objections, and Liu Yao added. Oh, and I have more good news. I've successfully opened the Tenzong aperture points, and with Grandmaster Yu's help, I expect to reach the Jinwala realm very soon. At these words, delight spread across the faces of Li Pei and the Liao family sisters. Liao Ye was the first to exclaim, junior brother is impressive. Her excitement even turned her little ears red, we are not lacking in gold, so won't you soon step into the golden body realm? Great Grandmaster, indeed. Liao Qi swung her small fists joyously and said, sister, our progress isn't slow either. When the whole family becomes great grandmasters, let's see if the foreigners dare to bully us again. In a few words, the suppressed atmosphere completely disappeared, and everyone's appetite grew. Liao Ye finished a bowl of rice and looked up, by the way, junior brother, weren't you saying that you had some big moves upon this return? Liu Yao nodded and said, indeed. I plan to unify the Shun dynasty into a single force. Then, I'll wipe out Izumo and Rakshasa, and take over Einheit and Minis. He spoke lightly, but the content was explosively significant. Li Pei, who had been keeping silent, now gasped, You want to? Are you aiming to conquer the world? Pretty much. Just to make the world a little more to our liking, Liu Yao slowly savored a bite of purple dragon and continued, as they say achieving great power allows one to bring benefit to the world, and I guess it's about time. But this is a long-term project that will require your help. The sisters quickly voiced their support. My lord has always been ambitious, how can we lag behind? Junior brother, we will certainly assist you with all our might. 4 pairs of bright eyes were fixated on Liu Yao, alight with fascination. Li Pei's excitement was so great that she couldn't even keep her feet still, repeatedly tapping them on the ground. How many more surprises was her lord going to bring her?